Welcome to the Week 10 edition of the Giant Overreaction. I am your host, Awthentik. We are now sitting at 7-2, man. Congrats to the gang, man. Another victory Monday, man. Coming out of that bye against them Texans. We beat the Texans 24-16, man. The Giants now sitting at a grand 7-2 on our way to the playoffs, man. I'm super ecstatic to get this show started, man. The Giants are 4-0 this season against AFC teams. We are the first NFC East team to win 4 consecutive games against AFC teams since the 2016 Dallas Cowboys, man. Third straight game without a turnover. That says a lot about how Daniel Jones is operating this offense. 7 for 14 on third down and 2 for 2 in the red zone, man. That is fire right there. Defense ended up forcing 2 turnovers. Both of those turnovers were inside our own 30-yard line, man. So very clean, very efficient football. I know the title talked about the second guessing if this was an ugly game or not. Y'all know me, man, especially over here at Awthentik and the Beard. Shout out to my co-host, man. We like to run the damn ball. Shout out to all of y'all that got up in the building nice and early on this Monday afternoon, man. We're going to smoke this pack extremely slow today, man, on this victory by the New York Giants, 24-16, man. Hope y'all are doing well, man. We got a lot to talk about, man. A lot of RTDB, a lot of defense in this game, man. But let's start this one with a couple of shout outs to the people in the building. I know let me correct myself. I can't say all of Giants Nation is happy because I definitely saw some people on Twitter that were still angry, still talking about draft picks, still talking about quarterbacks, still talking about all kinds of things. But I know most of the fan base is happy after that victory against the Texans, man. So shout out to the gang. I saw that Jameson was first in the building again. Shout out my guy, man. He's been showing up bright and early. Coach Jamo is in the building one time representing. He a Cowboys fan, but he be representing for the New York Giants one time. Shout out to my homie Hyphen Wade in the building, man. He says excited to see what OG got to say. Hard-earned win. Yeah, that definitely was a hard-earned win, man. Hope Hyphen Wade is still in the building. He was here early. Shout out to the homie James William. He said a win is a win always. But 7-3 score against the Texans at halftime. That's not a Super Bowl caliber effort coming off a bye. Facts over feelings. I feel you on that, James, but the facts are that the Giants were not a Super Bowl contending team, man. 4 wins last year. I'm going to take this 7-2, and I'm going to ride with it, whether the wins are by 1 point, whether it's, a baseball score at the half. I really can't complain, man. As long as the New York Giants are getting W's, I'm going to be a happy man. Shout out to James Williams in the building bright and early, man. He said hit that like button as well. Shout out to Saint Zappa one time. Stash Gang is in the building. Gregory is in the building. What's going on, brother? Hope all is well. Who else we got in the building one time? Old Man Rob, who was chopping it up with me on Twitter for a little bit there, man. Shout out to Old Man Rob. One of our contestants who actually won a prize on our Thursday show. Make sure y'all tune in on Thursdays, man. We give away something every episode. It's been some fire Tiki Barber cards. We gave away a Daniel Jones rookie card, Eli Manning signed patch card. This week, we're giving away a Jeremy Shockey signed card as well, so make sure y'all pull up on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. See if you can win that prize. The trivia questions have been relatively easy for the most part, too. Shout out to Edward Squires one time in the building, too, man. What's going on, man? Shout out to the gang. Jay Jean is in the building one time. Getting home yesterday and finding out the Cowboys lost to a bottom 5 team was orgasmic. Yo, LFG MYG, man. Shout out my homie Lucas, man, who the first person I saw saying that, LFG MYG. Shout out to Jay Jean in the building one time rocking with us. And also says you are what your record says you are. Bill Parcells. Shout out to the GOAT one time, Bill Parcells, man. Definitely a true statement there. The homie Waterfly is in the building day one with the metal biceps one time, and the football emojis in the building. What's going on, man? Hope all is well. Michael Knight is in the building. What's going on, fam? Who else we got? Brian is in the building. I know Brian was going to be in the building after a big game from Daniel Jones, man. Someone give Awthentik the bag. Graphics department, hashtag Danny Dimes. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. Shout out to all of y'all in the building, man. I see Simon Coleman is in the building. Max Webster's in the building. Kai is in the building. Shout out to the dedicated Kai, man. Tough loss for them Cowboys yesterday, man. Hope y'all can bounce back. But, I'm all okay with them losses from y'all. Who else in the building one time? Let me see if we all caught up. Flemdog is in the building. Shout out Flemdog. That's my guy right there. Hope all is well, brother. Representing that DMV. Isaiah Wyatt is in the building. What's going on, fam? Pinho is in the building. Pinho Thrift, what's going on, y'all? Hope all is well. Big Los in the building, man. We got gang in the building. Y'all know how we do after a big Giants win, man. Jonathan Studios is in the building. Who else we got? Squad is in the building. Oh, my man Elegante in the building. May says, what's going on, mi gente? We in here. Yes, sir. We definitely here. Stan is in the building. Salute to the homie Stan. Sock Pasimo Share. Hope all is well. And SHU Carter is in the building. And y'all already know, man, the beard is in the building one time. Shout out to Christian Watson, Green Bay rookie wide receiver. Big facts, man. And I said that definitely was not going to happen. He was not going to score a touchdown and have 100 yards. Christian Watson lit it up. Thank God to the football gods one time, man. Gave us that big L for them Dallas Cowboys to give the Giants a little bit of a leadway, standing there in second place in the NFC East standings. Jordan is in the building, too. What's going on, fam? Coaching matters. Happy Victory Monday. Happy Victory Monday to you as well, Jordan. Hope all is well. We're going to get off into this game, man. Break down some of this stuff real quickly. We're not going to get too in-depth. I got a couple of overreactions I want to go over here. I think I got about 4 or 5 today. For those of y'all that don't know, the way we do this over here is I'm going to put up a statement on the screen or an audio clip that comes from national media. And if you agree with the statement on the screen, that means you're going to put a U in the chat to represent your vote for your taking the under. If you agree that the statement on the screen is indeed an overreaction, we'll need you to put an O in the chat. And if you need a little bit more time, to kind of gauge your thoughts, maybe a couple more weeks of football, you can put a P in the chat for a push, which means you're going to take that push one time, and we'll revisit that question next week and see where you stand on that. Duran Osman with the early question one time in the building. Shout out to Duran in the building. He says, who you got, Philly or DC? I picked Philly on Thursday. I do think the Commanders got a good shot, though, to win this game. They got to play a virtually flawless game to hang with the Eagles. And they got to get an early lead, man. That's the thing. The Eagles have pretty much dominated most of their games in the first half outside of last week. But for the most part, they're taking care of business in the first half, kind of coasting the victory in the second half. It's going to take a good early effort from the Washington Commanders. No turnovers from Taylor Heineke. If you missed that the preview show that we did for Week 10, the Beard did go over his roadmaps for the victory for the Washington Commanders. He brought up some good points. Y'all already know he talking about hashtag RTDB. You got to run the damn ball. So definitely, I think I'm going with Philly on this one. Philly's playing some good football, but I have brought up on multiple occasions the record and the schedule. Little suspect over there with that schedule, I would say. Haven't really played too many tough teams on their schedule. I'd say Washington's probably one of their toughest opponents that they faced all year early on in the year, man. But shout out to Duran one time in the building. Rafael Colon is in the building, too. He says, what's good, my brother? 7-2 sounds real good right now. I know that's right, man. Shout out to the gang, man. We in here bright and early on a Monday afternoon, man. I got great rest last night, man. I tried to set up all the graphics and all the overreactions yesterday so we could just wake up, get to the coffee, get to the vibes, man. Y'all know how it is. It's always a better show when the Giants win. Now we sitting at 7-2, man. It's a beautiful thing. Shout out to Bubs in the building one time. What's going on, fam? Hope all is well. There are a lot of people in the chat are asking what's going on with Texas Boy. Texas Boy been MIA. I know that's right, Sake. Texas Boy definitely been MIA, but Bubs in the building one time, man. Shout out to all of y'all, man. Hope y'all are just, coasting through this Monday, starting off your week proper. For those of y'all that, got to go to work, got business to handle and take care of on a Monday, it's always better when the Giants get a win, man. You could walk around swagging, feeling great about yourself. It seems to be an entire week of gloom when the Giants lose, so I'm happy to start off my week with a Giants victory, man. It's amazing here. But let's talk a little bit about this game one time, man. The Giants, man, they really stuck to the script in this game, man. Sticking to the run, man, and I think that's been a big part of the identity of the Giants offense so far this season. In this game, it was 47 rushes and 17 passes, just 17 passes for Daniel Jones on the day. The Giants rushed for 191 yards, 1 touchdown on 47 attempts. The 47 attempts were the most they've had in a game since November 7th, 2010. So, I mean, when the Beard is talking about hashtag RTDB, this is exactly what he's talking about. There's times where he's talked about the Washington Commanders, and he's been saying, I want to get them in between that 30 and 40 mark. And I kind of looked at it as like, hey, that's kind of ridiculous to get up to 40 runs. But you see now, these are the kind of games that you can, control. And the Giants have done that with the time of possession, just controlling the clock. Another game where we won a time of possession. Giants are 4th in the NFL in controlling time of possession. We won this one almost by like 10 minutes, man. It was 33 minutes, 20 seconds to 26:40. So that's another thing about the Giants is keeping the opposing team's quarterback on the sideline. The 191 rushing yards, that's the 4th highest total of the season. The Giants have definitely been running that damn football, man. 262 rushing yards against the Chicago Bears, 238 against the Tennessee Titans, and 236 against Jacksonville. It's been a great year of rushing, and those numbers are actually total yards. But it's been a great year of rushing for the New York Giants, man. Another game where the defense really showed up and showed out, man. This defense, the Beard talked about this on Thursday about how great the Giants' third down defense is, and how great their red zone defense is. Right now, they're in second place with red zone defense. Teams are only converting on 38% of their red zone attempts. They're second in third down conversions as far as the defense goes, allowing teams to only convert on 32.7%. And this defense across the board, everybody stepped up with the absence of Xavier McKinney, especially Julian Love, man, out there, being a signal caller for the defense. You really did not see this defense take much of a step back. The big problem right now with the New York Giants defense, though, is stopping the run. You saw a couple of runs there from Dameon Pierce where he gashed us through the middle. He was finding success, getting big gains, big chunks, breaking tackles, man. The dude is as a rookie running back, I mean, this guy's really, really making a name for himself right now. In the beginning of the year, the Beard was putting me on him, and I was kind of like, I'll wait till Dameon Pierce really shows and proves, and now he's showing and proving. He's definitely been balling out. Can't forget about the interception from Dane Belton with 9 minutes left in the game. And the beginning of the game, New York Giants defense set the pace early, man. 3 3-and-outs to start this game, man. I thought that was an amazing way to get things going. The offense still kind of, sputtering a little bit in the first half, but the defense, they've been pretty sound, pretty solid, and forcing fumbles has been a thing this year. I mean, the New York Giants, man, I want to say this is now the 11th fumble that they've forced on the year. Dexter Lawrence, man, now I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to kind of renege and kind of, dial it back a little bit on the Giants winning the OBJ trade or losing the OBJ trade, because Dexter Lawrence, man, he is showing up, man. He's playing all-pro football right now, had 5 tackles on the day, 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits, and he batted down a pass to the line of scrimmage. Him and Leonard Williams, man, in the middle plugging things up. I'd like to see, better plugging up the holes and stopping the run a little bit, but they're doing a great job as getting pressure after these quarterbacks. Davis Mills sacked 5 times on the day. Leonard Williams led the team in tackles with 9 tackles, 4 quarterback pressures. Can't forget about the strip that he had on Dameon Pierce late in the fourth quarter there, and that was on the Giants' 8-yard line, man. So this game, it was ugly a little bit, right? But when the Giants needed a big play, they got the big plays, offensively and especially from the defense, man. And I can't forget about mentioning Graham Gano, man. Graham Gano, automatic. When he was getting ready to kick that 49-yard field goal, I was chopping it up with somebody on Twitter, and they were like, oh, we'll be able to sneak out of this one if Graham Gano makes this kick. And I was like, man, Graham Gano's going to make this kick. He's automatic. One of I won't even say one of the best special teams player that we have on this team. Gave us that 2-possession lead with 1:55 left remaining in the game. And, although this defense did allow some big runs, holding the Texans to 101 yards on the ground total, that's a good job right there. The Texans came into this game, ironically, averaging 101 yards per game on the ground, man. So I thought that was pretty good to not let them breach that 101. It was shaky at times with the rush defense, but they're doing a pretty decent job. We got some guys out there at linebacker that aren't the greatest, I'll say, but they're bringing full effort, trying to find a way. And that's exactly what they're doing. And on the back of this defense, the Giants continuously are finding ways to win games. And this was the first one that I feel like, even though this was a 1-score game, the Giants did a good job of controlling this one for the most part. We had some windows there, early where we didn't capitalize on them. But this game, of all the victories that have been 1-score, this one felt a little bit more like we were in control. Kind of reminded me of the Carolina Panthers game, too. We were pretty much in control of that and had a couple of mistakes that kind of let the Carolina Panthers kind of linger around and hang around in that game. Did the same thing in this one against the Texans. But, yeah, we come out with the victory. I can't be more happy about it. We'll go into a little bit more of some of the key moments in this and recap the game. I thought I saw a couple of questions here in the chat. I just want to scroll here and get to some of these one time. I thought I saw a question here just a little bit back. This chat is kind of flying on us one time. This is from Duran Osman right here. Duran says, not taking the stakes of each game to account, Wilder fourth quarter /OT, 2002 playoffs, Bills Chiefs, or yesterday's Bills Vikings. Okay, this one is a little bit off topic. Okay, so I'm going to say that yesterday's game, Bills Vikings, was a little bit crazier. The Bills Chiefs playoff game was extremely crazy. I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes marched down there and got his team in field goal range within like under 20 seconds. That was pretty crazy. But I thought it was going to be just crazy enough to see Josh Allen fumble on his 1-yard line. And then after that, losing that and allowing the Vikings to get the touchdown with 41 seconds left in the game, I didn't think he was going to be able to march down and get his team in the field goal range. He does exactly that, marched them down there, got them in field goal range. They kicked the game-tying field goal. They go to overtime. He's got the opportunity in overtime to really take care of business and win the game. I believe it was I think it was a third down, actually. They're in the red zone down there. They kick the field goal. You'll keep overtime going, or you score a touchdown. You can win the game. I think he tried to squeeze the ball into too tight of a window and cost his team a victory. And Josh Allen is my fantasy quarterback, but I just so happened to have him on the bench because he was coming into this game banged up with the elbow injury. So I tried to do some mastermind scheme here. I thought, hey, the Bills are going to be lacking their quarterback with Case Keenum. Their offense probably won't move the ball. I went out there, scooped up the Minnesota Vikings defense because they were definitely available. Nobody's, hyped to get the Vikings defense. And I started Jacoby Brissett. Now, we did the parlay on Sunday. For some reason, I thought that I've replaced Jacoby Brissett with Josh Allen, and I did not. So I went into last night's fantasy game with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback and the Minnesota Vikings as my defense. Surprisingly enough, the Minnesota Vikings defense got me 8 points, that was a major surprise. They allowed the Bills to put up over 30 points or something like that in that game. But I snuck out with the victory, man, on the strength of some big games from some of my other players. But I'm going to go with the Bills-Vikings. I think that game was just – everything about it was just crazy. I mean, and even when the Bills stopped Kirk Cousins on the quarterback sneak late in that game when Justin Jefferson was ruled down on like the inch-yard line when it looked like a touchdown live, the Bills had 12 men on the field when they made that stop, and no one said nothing about that until I saw it on Twitter this morning. So that was a really wild game, man. Definitely the craziest game of the year. I'll say it was a little bit crazier than that Bills-Chiefs one, but the Bills-Chiefs, it was in the playoffs. So, I mean, higher stakes, everything's just a little bit more inflated. So I wouldn't be mad at anybody who says the Bills-Chiefs one was a little bit more of a, wilder. I like that term, a wilder game right there. And then shout out to Steven Arts in the building. This is my guy right here, man. Hope all is well on this Monday, fam. He said, who thought the Giants would only ride the L train twice this year? Let's go, especially with mediocre play at wide receiver. Who blessed this team? God did. I like that, man. God definitely blessed us. Them football gods are definitely looking out for the New York Giants this year, man. This is now 7 victories, 7 one-score victories, man. This is crazy. We entered this game with a point differential of +6. That does not make no sense that the Giants are here sitting at 7-2. Now, 10 weeks into football, man. It's very, very, very surprising. But shout out to all of y'all, man, in the chat, having conversations with yourselves, man. We're going to go over this recap just a little bit. And let me see this one right here from Gregory real quick. He said, Awthentik, did the Giants have any injuries in this game? I don't think so. They talked about Dane Belton going in to go get like an X-ray, I believe, on something. But I did see that Dan Dugan did tweet out that everything went good with that X-ray, and he seems to be fine. So I think we left this game unscathed, man. No injuries, which is really great. I know throughout the year, man, we've had players injured pretty much in every game, pretty much in every game. So that's awesome to see the Giants come out of this one without no major injuries, man. But got a lot to talk about here in this game, man. We're going to go over a lot of the good, and we'll go over some of the bad as well. Bub said Cousins was in his bag yesterday. I know, man. I can't imagine what he was looking like on that plane. You saw him. He was dancing and whatnot, had all them chains on last week and whatnot. I know that celebration was crazy for the Vikings. Back to these Giants one time, man. Let's recap this game one time, man, and just talk about how we got here, man. This was, this definitely was an interesting game, but I'm starting to we get into these third quarters and these fourth quarters, and I'm just starting not to panic as much. I've been pretty chill and expecting the New York Giants to find a way to just pull out these victories late in these games, man. I'm starting to get accustomed to this. It's not typically a fun way to win games, but a win is a win is a win. And, it's like watching a really good movie that it's going to have a good ending. Most movies, the main character, the superhero, is not going to get killed at the end. And that's what it seems to be with the New York Giants right now. It's like you go through some turmoil throughout the game, but in the end, we're going to prevail and come out on top. And it's great to see the Giants get a win here, man, in this one, 24-16. I had predicted a score of 20-6 in this one. I didn't think that the Texans were going to be able to put up as much offensive output as they did, but they did a pretty decent job, man. Davis Mills did have some success throwing the ball through the air, and I want to say he made it over 300 yards in this game, if I'm correct. Let me see. Yeah, he had 319 yards. He was 22 of 37 in this one. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times. QBR was 33.3. His rating was 85.3. So he played a pretty decent game, man. He was under pressure and duress all day long. Dameon Pierce, 17 carries for 94 yards, averaging 5.5 yards a clip. Giants got to find a way to fix that. Had that big run of 44 yards. Who else would we have on here? I mean, receiving-wise, they really didn't have any standout pass catchers on this one. Aikens had 3 receptions for 72 yards, and Moore had 3 receptions for 70. And then Nico Collins also had that big touchdown and kept them in the game. I'm going to go over that here in a second. And he had 5 receptions for 49 yards. The Beard is a big fan of Nico Collins, who came back into the lineup healthy for the first time, I believe, or the second time this week. Texans definitely need help at the wide receiver position. They got him and Brandon Cooks back. Brandon Cooks had 4 catches for 37 yards. Had a big one called back, too, in that game. Brandon Cooks, I definitely like him as a wide receiver. Surprised that he didn't get traded before the trade deadline, and you saw him on Twitter saying a lot about that. Seems like he really doesn't want to be over there in Houston playing with the Texans. But, you know, it's his job. He's out there. He's doing his best. And the 4 receptions definitely helped him keep this game tight. But definitely wasn't enough. So let's go over this game just here a little bit here, man. The Giants scored on the opening drive, man. It was their second game in a row scoring on the opening drive. That's a great thing for us because we definitely struggle to score on opening drives. 7-3 at the half, man. It was pretty boring relatively in the first 2 quarters. And then Darius Slayton, man, ignited this offense with that 54-yard touchdown, which is going to look fantastic on the stat box for Daniel Jones because it was pretty much like a 4-yard pass, and Darius Slayton took care of the rest. I saw Bobby and a few others talking about this on Twitter. The angles that the defenders had on Darius Slayton on that touchdown play, I mean, it looked like he should have been tackled. The first cut that he made avoided 2 guys from killing him. And it just so happened they bumped into each other, man, and it gave Darius Slayton a little bit of space to do the rest and get into that end zone, man. He showed you his speed, man. I think Darius Slayton was like a 4.3, 4.4 guy at the combine as far as the 40 time goes. Definitely showed you he still got the speed, man. Darius Slayton looking to be one of our number 1 targets right now on this New York Giants wide receiver core, man. So big kudos to Darius Slayton. Now, this was a opportunity that I thought that the New York Giants really missed here, man. After Darius Slayton scored that touchdown, the Giants are up 14-3, and we get the Giants go like 3 and out, I believe. After that, Texans get the ball. They're driving on us late, down 14-3 in the third quarter here, and Micah McFadden interception goes like right over his head, right through his fingertips, man. Like, it's definitely going to be a spectacular play if he caught it. But these are them windows I like to talk about, because if you get that interception there and then you can get the ball back into your offense's hands and the Giants go down and drive down and score a touchdown, let's say at bare minimum you score a field goal, you're going up 17-3 right there. It's going to be virtually impossible to come back unless you're the Baltimore Ravens and you like to collapse in the fourth quarter from a 17-3 deficit. If you score a touchdown there, you're going up 21-3 in that game. So that was a window that I felt like we didn't capitalize on. And then the Texans end up going down the field and they score on us on that. It was a 25-yard gain after it tipped off of Micah McFadden's hands. And then Nico Collins scores his touchdown on a fade route on the left side of the end zone. And now, instead of looking like, 14-3, 17-3, possibly 21-3, you're looking at a game now 14-10, and the Texans are right in the mix, man. But I do like that the New York Giants responded, okay? Another window that was wide open for the Giants to take care of this. And if you go back and you look at the Giants last season and the season before that under Joe Judge, when we would have these opportunities, they would never capitalize. The Raiders game was one of them, even though the Giants ended up winning that Raiders game. And I thought it was a really good game plan, probably the best game plan from Jason Garrett the entire season. There was a couple of windows there for the offense to be able to really put that game away in the third quarter and early in the fourth quarter, and they didn't. And that seems to have been the difference with this regime. This regime is finding ways to put the ball into the right players' hands and sometimes put the ball into the defense's hands to be able to make the plays late like you saw in this game. But the window that I noticed, 8 minutes left in the third quarter, man, Giants go 12 plays, 74 yards, march down the field. It ends in a Saquon Barkley touchdown. We chew up 5 minutes, 45 seconds of game clock, almost 6 minutes there, and now you're entering the fourth quarter up 21-10. That was the game changer right there. The Darius Slayton touchdown and the 12-play, 74-yard drive. Giants really put the game away there, 21-10. All in all, man, the defense was getting gashed a little bit late, but Leonard Williams, man, I saw the Texans kind of starting to try to – it was a bit of a boxing match here. It was going back and forth for a while. You had the touchdown from Nico Collins. You had the 74-yard drive by the Giants with the Saquon touchdown, and then now the Texans are trying to answer back. They got smacked in the face. They're trying to come back with a couple of punches of their own. And on our own 8-yard line, the Texans are in our red zone. You get the fumble forced by Leonard Williams. I believe that was recovered by Jalen Smith. Giants go 3 and out on the next drive, which I know a lot of people don't like to see all these 3 and outs from the offense, man. Offense does have to find a way to sustain drives. But they go 3 and out, and then the Texans come down. They're driving down again. They get down to the Giants' 29-yard line, and Davis Mills is intercepted by Dane Belton. So when we talk about finishing the games, to me, the offense did a pretty good job. It's not like they, slouched and just played a horrible fourth quarter or nothing like that. They did a decent job. But the fourth quarter was won by this defense with those 2 turnovers late. That really, really, really sealed this game for me. And the Giants end up going on to win this one 24-16, man. So, again, and the cameras weren't showing Wink Martindale that much in this game on the sidelines. But to me, when we talk about the hierarchy of why the New York Giants have been playing so well, we got to start with the coaching and Wink Martindale in that defense. Every game they have kept us in, just about every game. Outside of that Cowboys game where they were gashing us with the run, but it does seem like the personnel, there's a lack of personnel there, and it's why you see Wink Martindale, sending a lot of blitzes late in games to try to seal games, but we are getting they are running the rock on us pretty damn good. And if we can fix that, this is going to be a special group. I'm telling you, I already think that this group is pretty special, but I think this will be an extremely special group if Wink Martindale can find a way, I'm going to say within the next year and a half, I'm going to go all the way into next season, to be able to make this defense stout against stopping the run. That would be incredible. All in all, I grade this game pretty high by the New York Giants, man. Very efficient. We saw some great running. We saw great game managing from Daniel Jones. We saw this defense make the big plays when they needed to. They made the turnovers when they needed to. And without their leader, without Xavier McKinney out there, it's almost like you didn't notice it. Dane Belton stepped up in that spot, man, and played great football. Julian Love was moved around a little bit. I was talking to the homie Patrick about this, and we expected Julian Love to be moved from strong safety to free safety. And Wink Martindale is always stressing this fact that this is a positionless defense. People can be moved around. I know a lot of fans thought that maybe Landon Collins was going to be a guy that was going to step up in that safety role, but that wasn't the case on Sunday. Seems like Landon Collins is probably still trying to become acclimated with this whole scheme and whatnot, but it was incredible. And I see Jonathan Studios just put up a great point here in the chat. He says, need a maniac middle linebacker and a coverage linebacker. That is 1,000% because we're talking about stopping the run, and also we got to stop running backs coming out the backfield. That wasn't the case in this game too much. Dameon Pierce only had 2 receptions for 28 yards, but this is a great point. We need a maniac at the middle linebacker. They tried some different things this game. You had Micah McFadden out there, a little bit less Tay Crowder out there, but I'd say it yielded some of the same results in this game, but you make a great point, Jonathan. That's big facts right there. But all in all, I will take a victory like this any time. And I think this is a good time to talk about a certain player, man, that we coming out of injury, we expected this guy to step up and really be somebody that was going to be able to help this pass attack. So let's get into this. All right, man, so y'all already know Kenny Golladay, he was targeted twice in this game. 0 catches. The first one I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and a lot of people started coming for me after that one. I'd say about 10 to 12 hours later when I was saying that the Giants fan base needs to really rally behind this guy, speaking on Kenny Golladay. And that was after the first pass that was a little bit off target, if you ask me. Maybe a catchable ball for a lot of wide receivers, but we know Kenny Golladay is not the kind of guy that likes to go left to right. He's the kind of guy that goes up to catch passes, 50-50 ball catcher. But nonetheless, the second drop is really there's no excuses for that second drop, bro. That as an NFL wide receiver who is struggling, those are the kind of passes that you cannot drop. Comes across the middle on a crosser route, about 5 yards shallow within him and the quarterback, and the ball hits him right in the breadbasket. And I put up a tweet kind of just joking about this, but I showed a picture of Beyonce and Jay-Z throwing up the rock like this. Kenny Galladay's got to find a way to catch the ball with his hands. You got to be a pure hand catcher. Too many times I'm seeing Kenny Golladay do this to catch the ball, and Darius Slayton for that matter too, but at least Darius Slayton is catching the ball. But when you play a wide receiver, especially when the quarterback is right-handed and you're running to his left, it's easier to catch the ball like this. I love catching the ball like this. This is how I used to catch all the time. And if it's low, then you got to put the palms out a little bit. But trying to catch the ball like a, T-Rex vibes, that's just not the vibe, man. NFL wide receivers are not supposed to be catching like that. Now, the ball was a little bit hot, but at the same time, this is the NFL, bro. You got to catch that. Daniel Jones puts a perfect throw on you, and you literally just drop it and then jog off to the sidelines. Now, Brian Dable, who I thought was looking a little bit unraveled in the first half. And I'm going to get to another point here in a second about that. But, you know, when you start seeing your coach losing his cool on the sideline, screaming and doing all this, I think there's a time and place for that. This might have been that game, but I felt like Brian Daboll was this close to losing his cool. And it reminded me a lot of like the Joe Judge regime a little bit. You know, when you would look on the sideline, these guys just look like they're losing their mind over there and don't know what's going on. But nonetheless, he did correct those mistakes, and players do have to be held accountable, and I think that's what Brian Daboll is doing. And coming out of the bye, you don't expect players to be making these major, egregious mistakes. And Kenny Golladay dropped that pass. Well, let's call it 2 drops for the sake of not arguing on it. We'll call it 2 drops, right? They bench him after the first half. And then they brought in, I forget this guy's name, but he had a pretty decent game. He had 2 catches on the day. And shout out to NYG Crush. He's always talking about, like, how many times do you see a Giants player make a play and you go, who the hell is that? And that's definitely the case here. But this was Isaiah Hodgins, who came in, man, and he relieved Kenny Golladay in this game. And he had 2 catches. I believe it was on 2 targets as well. So, you know, I'm looking for 3 catches, actually. I'm looking for him to step it up a little bit more. We need some help in that wide receiver department. He had the long of 26 yards, 2 targets, actually. I correct myself one more time. It was 2 catches for 2 targets, 41 yards on the day, man. So I'm looking for a wide receiver that's going to step up. You guys see Richie James, who really held it down for the New York Giants throughout the first, 5 to 6 games, has pretty much been non-existent as far as wide receivers go now. He wasn't even targeted in this game. I don't even know if he was on the field. Maybe he's in the doghouse in the kennel right now. I'm not too sure, but definitely not being targeted. And he was a guy who I thought was relatively sure-handed, you know, for the first portion of the year. Shout out to the homie one time, man. I just talked about the Ravens, too. Shout out to Graven Vids in the building, man. Salute to you, man. The best Baltimore Ravens content creator out there. He says, congrats on your Giants who have been getting it done with the capitalized done one time. Shout out to Engravens in the building one time, man. Appreciate you pulling up, fam. And let me see what the chat talking about here. If anybody's got anything crafty to say about my man Kenny Golladay. Okay, this is a good one coming in from Jordan one time. He says, I think KG has to shake the rust off. Darius Slayton was looking shaky too when he first got his opportunity with the new staff. 1,000%. This is why I'm not giving up on Kenny Golladay. I'm not going to give up on Kenny Golladay until the New York Giants give up on Kenny Golladay. This is a guy who has proven that he can play at a high level. During his whole entire tenure with the New York Giants, it just has not worked out. We're talking about a guy who has 2 receptions for 22 yards on the entire season, 0 touchdowns in his entire tenure with the New York Giants. In 1.5 seasons, he has 39 receptions for 543 yards. Now, that's just not the vibes. And this is a guy that they're giving multiple chances to. Back to back, he's getting chances. He's getting chances there. You know, first couple of weeks, we saw him, and in his chance on the field, he really did nothing, okay? So they took him out. He was saying like he felt that he deserved to be on the field no matter what, blah, 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 blah. Kadarius Tony gets traded. You see a completely different vibe from Kenny Golladay in the locker room, like, oh, I just want to be out there. I'm humbled, blah, blah, blah. I think that this is a guy that is dealing with some mental issues as far as why the drops are occurring, okay? When you get out there on the field, right, and you get a pass that's pretty damn off target, okay? It would have been a great catch, I'll say, if he could have caught the first one from Daniel Jones. But the ball goes off one of his hands, off his fingertips, and the fans completely go to boo this guy. What you think's going through his mind at that point? He's definitely thinking about, are his hands sure? The greatest wide receivers are catching the ball off straight up, just natural. I'm not going to say ability, but it's practice makes perfect, or practice, as my homie Zach loves to say, practice makes permanent, right? So when you get out there on the field, you don't got to think about looking the ball in and tucking it away. These things become second nature. I saw, I believe it was McKinnon for the Kansas City Chiefs, right? I saw this dude run to the right. He had the ball in his right hand. Defenders were all over the right side. He reversed field, and when he reversed field, he switched the ball to his left hand, right? It looked so natural, and the first thought that came to my mind, there was a defender in pursuit behind him, kind of. I'm like, when he switches it to his left, if he gets raked, is he going to fumble the ball? He got raked. He didn't fumble the ball. These things become second nature when you become accustomed to doing them on a regular basis. Kenny Golladay has not seen any productivity his whole entire career with the New York Giants. Just imagine what's going through this dude's mind. Right? And then you got the fan base on you. There's a lot of pressure. He even talked about it in his press conference that this is the most trying time of his entire career. It's got to be. You know, you got paid $74 million to come here to New York to be Daniel Jones' #1 wide receiver and try to elevate the play of this kid. And I think it's really the #1 reason why Daniel Jones' statistics aren't looking so fantastic this year. Like, Daniel Jones, to the people who are outside of the locker room or outside of the New York Giants community, they probably looking at Daniel Jones like, oh, this dude is just an average quarterback. But those of us within the community, we know Daniel Jones right now is looking like guarantee a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. And some people, and dare I say, I might kind of agree with this, Daniel Jones is pushing and banging on that ceiling of being a top 10 quarterback right now in the NFL. We're seeing guys who we're accustomed to seeing in the top 5, top 10 fall out, starting to play a lot worse. And if we're just going off this season, Daniel Jones is playing great football. He's doing everything he's asked of. This guy had the highest passer rating of all quarterbacks in the entire season in this past game. And I'm not somebody that hangs my hat on passer rating. I do think it's a little bit inflated. But at the end of the day, it does show that he's doing something well. So for the people that are still ragging, and some Giants fans still ragging on Daniel Jones, woke up this morning and the first thing they thought about was, oh, we need a new quarterback. What are we doing in the draft? I mean, dog, we're sitting at 7-2 right now, and our $74 million wide receiver cannot catch a ball. He's got 2 receptions on the season. So I think in return, we got to give our quarterback the benefit of the doubt, at least a little bit. And really, do we really even got to give him the benefit of the doubt? This dude's winning games. He's playing great football. He's doing what the coaches are asking him to do. The checks at the line, the audibles. Daniel Jones looks like a different quarterback right now. If you look at the Darius Slayton 54-yard touchdown, none of that happens if Daniel Jones doesn't stare that pressure right in his face. He's got 3 guys barreling down right on him and just falls back. And, man, if there was a time where Daniel Jones reminded me of Eli Manning, it was on that play. Falling backwards, just let that thing go. Slayton catches it and does the rest, man. So for me, man, Kenny Golladay, yeah, it's warranted. The fans should be booing you for sure. I'm one who was saying that, yeah, if you're a player on the New York Giants, we need to support you, man. Yes, we do need to support you. I want all the players on my team to play to the highest ability that they possibly can until they are not on my team. That's just what it is, okay? And at the end of the day, Kenny Golladay is not putting up the numbers. Kenny Golladay is not even being a piece to why the New York Giants are winning games. It's interesting. Now, I wanted to compare this to a situation that happened early in the game on the first drive, right? We saw first drive the Giants get, they score a touchdown. It's a pass to tight end Lawrence Cager. And Lawrence Cager was having an extremely rough start to this game. I don't know if anybody else noticed this, okay? He had the illegal formation flag that was on him. He was lined up incorrectly on this exact same drive, okay? Then he got blown up on a play where he was trying to block for Saquon Barkley, where Saquon lost like 5 yards on the run because Lawrence Cager is getting completely blown up on the edge of the line. What I loved about Brian Daboll and the coaching staff here with Mike Kafka calling plays, they didn't go away from him, right? And it goes to show you that, yeah, because a player makes a couple of mistakes in a game, that does not mean that you got to just take him out. I remember in the game where Richie James fumbled the 2 punts, a lot of Giants fans were like, oh, when he fumbled the first one, you should have took him out the game. No, players are going to make mistakes on this field. It's about knowing when it's the right time to pull that player. And I think Brian Daboll did a good job of 2 scenarios in this game that were called upon for him to have to either pull a player or have faith in the player and keep him in the game. At the end of the game in the press conference, Brian Daboll said, you know, in response to questions about, like, is this pretty much over for Kenny Golladay? He was like, look, he's going to have another week to get better, to practice, to try to get things under his belt and get better and present an opportunity where he can get back out there on the field. That's exactly what I want to hear from the coach, because you can't give up on players. You can pull them in a game when you think it is proper to do so, which is what he did with Kenny Golladay. But he didn't do that with the tight end with Lawrence Cager. And in return, this guy ends up scoring a touchdown on that exact same drive. There's a big difference between Lawrence Cager and Kenny Golladay. The expectations for one of the players is through the roof. Kenny Galladay's got to be a guy, if we're paying you this kind of money, you have got to be a guy, and I'm never the one that's out here counting no pockets. You're never going to see me talking about no salary cap issues and doing breakdowns and videos about, hey, we need to use the money this way and pay this guy this much. I might give you a quick opinion on, hey, I think the quarterback deserves this much or more, and that's it. But I'm never really counting nobody's pocket when it comes to the NFL and salaries for NFL players. I leave that up to the professionals, man. I'm over here trying to manage my money, man. I'm trying to touch my first M, okay? These guys dealing with 74 M's, and he's got 2 catches. It's not a good look, but I love the way that Brian Daboll dealt with both of these scenarios, you know. One of these guys was elevated from the practice squad just this past week, you know, and Daboll showing confidence in him and to go right back to him to get the Giants on the board and get an early lead, 7-0. Amazing coaching for me. That is amazing coaching for me. And taking Kenny Golladay out of this game was probably the right move. It almost seems like he's got the yips. Like, it seems like every time the ball comes to him, he's so worried about catching the ball. And it's weird. I see a lot of people questioning Kenny Galladay's effort, right? They question his effort on the first one, whether you call it a drop or an off-target pass, whatever it was. They're like, lay out and dive for the ball, and they're questioning his effort on the one drop. I will say this. I don't question people's effort when it comes to NFL players because I'm sitting on this couch right here just watching football, okay? I can't say how much effort is going into it. I know when I played football, if you didn't come out on that field with effort, you were going to get your helmet taken off. You was going to get knocked out, okay? So you got to, especially with the speed of how the game is in the NFL, you got to bring some kind of effort, right? But when Kenny Galladay's dropping these passes, they're hitting his hands and flying to the ground so fast. It's so ridiculous. The ball goes from hitting his hands to you just seeing him in the body energy just completely going down and then him running back to the huddle. Somebody pointed this out on one of the videos I retweeted when he dropped the pass. If you look at the sidelines of everybody on our team on the sidelines, it's almost like they're in disbelief. They're just like, what the hell is going on with this guy? Man, I don't know if Kenny Galladay's got to go see a therapist. I don't know if y'all remember when Wild Thing in Major League 2, when he had to go see the therapist and he was like throwing the ball. He's just telling the therapist, like, I can't throw the heat no more. I don't know if Kenny Galladay's dealing with something like that, but we got to find a way to get Kenny Golladay his confidence back. I think that's super important. I see James Earl Moans in the building. Shout out to James Earl Moans, man. Big salute to you, brother. He says, I wonder if Golladay ever fully recovered from the hip injury. He doesn't seem to have any burst or lay out. Now, I will say this, Kenny Golladay really never had bursts like that. Kenny Golladay made his money by making contested catches when he was in Detroit. That's how he made his money. Now, as far as the hip injury, I'm sure it's lingering. When you look at the one, the first one that went off his right hand, his fingertips, right? It's almost like at the waist, he's not flexible almost. Like when he reached out, it almost reminded me of like when I used to play ball back in the day. I can remember when I first transitioned from just playing like street ball with the homies to then like putting on the pads. When I put the pads on and when I played tight end my first year, which is, I don't know what the hell the coaches was thinking. But when I played tight end my first year, I was like so like invested in like wearing like a bunch of wristbands and like I had elbow pads and like a neck brace and like all this extra gloves and like I had everything you could every accessory. I just wanted to look good out there. I was going by the Deion Sanders motto, look good, play good, right? But one thing that I realized it did to me is my flexibility was gone because I was wearing too much shit. Like I couldn't, like when it came time to looking for the pass, everything's in the way. That's what it kind of looked like with Kenny Golladay. Like, it's almost like he couldn't bend his lower lumbar. Like, his back just couldn't turn, and he's, like, just reaching out. And I get why people are saying, okay, they're questioning his effort, and, like, how come he won't do things like lay out and dive? I do think that the first one that he didn't dive for, you're looking at like a 6-7 yard route, and it was a hot pass. Daniel Jones was scrambling to his left, ran out of time, and was like, "Man, let me just let this go, and maybe I can get not necessarily a spectacular catch, but maybe we can make something out of nothing." And in return, Kenny Golladay flies off his fingertips. But I really don't know what it is. When you look at the second one, and he's had a lot of ones like that. Early in the year before he got hurt, there was a skinny post that he ran on third down. I know y'all remember this one. Hit him right in the hands, man. Dropped the ball, and he's trying to catch it the same way. He's not catching it with his hands like this. He's doing a lot of this. A lot of catching with his hands like this. Now, I'm no NFL wide receivers coach or nothing like that, but on every level of football that I played all the way up until I was done playing in high school, that's how I caught the ball. Secure it away from your body, especially in the NFL. These guys are trying to rake, and they're trying to do a lot of things to try to get past deflections and whatnot. You got to catch that ball off your body, man. There are certain instances within traffic that you got to catch the ball in the breadbasket and let it fall into your body. But for the most part, man, a guy like Kenny Golladay with a catching radius like that, big body, I think Kenny Golladay is like 6'3", 6'4". You got to find a way to catch the ball with your hands, man. And that's the part that worries me. He's out there. He's running fine. Maybe the hip injury is a little something, right? But at the end of the day, bro, the ball's hitting you in the hands, bro. You can have no legs, and if the ball hits you in the hands, you should catch the ball. That's just really what it is. But I definitely feel your frustration, James Earl Moans. I'm definitely feeling you because it's starting to become like the regular. We're expecting Kenny Golladay to drop the ball now, and that's ridiculous, man. This was a guy who led the league in touchdowns one year with Matthew Stafford not even his quarterback for half the season. This guy has 2 seasons under his belt for 1,000 yards, and now I just feel like a lot of people didn't want Kenny Golladay. They're trying to run victory laps on it because Kenny Golladay is playing bad football, and that's unfortunate, on a team that really, 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 really needs a wide receiver to step up. Kenny Golladay is nowhere to be found, and that's just so unfortunate for the New York Giants. Thank God, thank the football gods, we're still winning games with a very mediocre pass attack at the moment. Shout out to the homie Keith Wilson Jr. in the building one time with the $5, $4.99 super chat one time. He says, shout out my brother. Per our convo yesterday on Twitter, man, I hope KG get it going because we need it, man. Wonder how Aziz is looking as well. Yeah, Aziz been dealing with those injuries, man. It's been tough for him. Can't stay out there on the field, can't stay healthy. That's been a problem for us. We could definitely use as much help as we could on those edges. Teams are finding ways to run the ball, not only up the middle on us, but outside the tackle as well. So I'm with you on that. All the help we could get. There was a big penalty on what's my man Zimenez in this game, but Zimenez made a couple plays too as well. But I do think that bro, I'm praying to the football gods that they give Kenny Golladay a second opportunity. And also that he capitalizes on it, man, because this is frustrating. I don't like to see players dealing with this that are representing the team colors that represent the team that I root for. I don't like seeing it. I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't like seeing people struggle. It's not fun. I want to see our players excel, and it just seems like Kenny Golladay is in the can't get right mode right now. It's super frustrating. I can't imagine what he's going through right now in his mind. Those are the kind of drops, bro. Like, I played flag football like two years ago, maybe 2 seasons ago or something like that. When I would drop a pass in a flag football game, bro, I would have bad dreams about it. Could you imagine being in the NFL surrounded by thousands and tens of thousands of fans, bro, and you drop the ball and all you hearing is boo all throughout the stadium, bro? There's no way Kenny Golladay is getting good sleep. I would literally just be working my ass off. I would not sleep. I literally would not. I would be up till 4 a.m. catching passes from the catch machine or whatever that is, the pitching machine that they use to catch passes. I see some of these players practicing in hotel rooms. If you look back at Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, how they used to train in their dorms, one-handed dog, I would be doing everything in my power. And then I would just really take a page out of Darius Slayton's book. Darius Slayton says something about never complaining in his press conference, right? And it was something that he learned from his mother, that you always look at yourself and say, what can I do to fix the situation? Kenny Golladay got to take a page from Darius Slayton and start doing that. Start looking at himself, start being like, man, what can I do to help this team win football games? And, the attitude that he had early on in the year, that's kind of fizzled away. But now the New York Giants and the coaching staff are 1,000% not looking at Kenny Golladay to do anything. So you better go to practice. Go to practice with the mentality that every practice is your last game. And try and ball out, man. Get back out there on the field and try to make some plays, man. It's super, super unfortunate that we have to deal with this, man. And I know a lot of people want to point at Dave Gettleman, and we can point at Dave Gettleman for a lot of his mistakes that he made throughout his tenure as the Giants general manager. Drafting-wise, he was not good. I don't care what nobody says. You got some good players out of the draft, out of the first round, yeah. But Dave Gettleman probably hit on 8 of 35 picks when it comes to everything he did in the draft. This Kenny Golladay signing shouldn't have been one of the bad signings. A lot of people comparing this to Nate Solder. This is not the same. Nate Solder got his contract off the back of Tom Brady, who was the most decisive quarterback in the entire NFL. He makes offensive lines look better every year. Year in and year out, Tom Brady does that, right? So Nate Solder, that was a major mistake. Kenny Golladay put up the numbers, man. He's supposed to be playing well. Unfortunately, he's playing terrible right now. But shout out to Keith Wilson one time. And Stephen R. says, can we really say both staffs have used him like he was in Detroit? Not really, because he is a jump ball wide receiver or throw it up, so he uses his height to catch then these speed routes like crossers and drags. Yeah, 1,000%. I agree with you, Stephen R. And I will just say, and I like that you followed it up with this, man, but no excuses on his drops, though. You got to catch the ball. I couldn't have said that better. That was exactly going to be my response, man. So that's what it is. If you can't catch the crosser in the NFL, you shouldn't be in the NFL. Mesh concept is one of the most easiest concepts to run in the NFL. A lot of teams are still running it. It's a way to get wide receivers open, get them out in space, create a little bit of traffic for the defenders, and get people open. And Kenny Golladay missing a crosser like that, wide receivers 3 yards behind him. The bummer about it is if he catches it, he's going to get a 20-yard gain. There was nobody out in front of him, man. So I'm on this Monday afternoon, I'm extremely happy to get this victory by the New York Giants, but I feel for Kenny Golladay. I really do. It's like he's just playing terrible right now, and I hope he can find a way to get it together. Michael Knight says, one thing I noticed about Golladay when they scored their touchdown, I did not see him celebrating with them. Yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard to celebrate, man. It's like, when you going through your woes in life, man, and your homie comes up to you and he's like, yo, man, I just got a promotion at my job. It's hard to be like, man, that's what's up, dog. Like when you in the dumps right now. Kenny Galladay's in the worst position he's ever been in his entire career, man. So I know what that's like to be on the field, man. And I played quarterback for a lot of teams in my life, and I also played wide receiver. And I've been pulled from games and things like that before, man. When you're sitting on that sideline and you see your backup go in a game and score points and whatnot, or make plays, man, it's hard, man. That's why I give Baker his kudos, man, with the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if y'all saw it. When they ended up winning that game, he's like, they were shaking hands and like all his players were in a line. This dude was headbutting his players who were all wearing helmets, and he was not wearing a helmet, and just in excitement for his team, man. And it takes a special kind of human being to be like that, man. Like, to just overlook how terrible you're playing. You know, you're in your head, you're in your mind, and you haven't played well. It's really tough, man. But yeah, as a fan, you don't want to see your $74 million wide receiver doing those kind of things, man. You really want to see him step up and be a team player, man, and support the team and do what you got to do, man. Even when you're not playing well, you still got to have good energy, positive energy on the bench, and try to do what you can in a mental capacity to help your team, have favorable matchups and win games, man. That's just definitely what it is. And shout out to Bubs. Bubs says, I know y'all seen Tony yesterday. I definitely saw Tony yesterday. And y'all know, if you follow me on Twitter and you follow what we do over here on the Giant Overreaction, I'm in major support of Kadarius Tony, okay? These are young men. They make mistakes in the NFL, and I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about off the field. Sometimes these players can be headaches. When we traded Odell Beckham Jr., I said this, you got to have a guy that's on damage control in that locker room. These are 25 and under men for the most part that you see get drafted, and if they don't last for their first 4 to 5 seasons with a football team and they get shipped away, sometimes it's not necessarily all their fault, because we need to have people that are seasoned and have dealt with youth in the NFL to be able to groom these players into the men that they will ultimately become. I know what I was like when I was 22, 23 years old, man. I was a hothead. I was doing all kind of dumb shit, and I didn't have a bag like some of these NFL players do. So I'm rooting for Tony. I don't care what he said to the fan base online, DMing fans, talking, what did he say? He had it on his Instagram stories at the end of the game. He said, now those are real dimes. Of course that's a shot at Daniel Jones, 1,000%. I don't care, man. This is a competitive sport. I don't know if y'all saw the exchange between DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray last week. He's pretty much coming for him like, yo, what are you seeing out there, bro? Throw me the ball. I got a one-on-one, and kirking on him. And that's just what it is. This is not a game for people that have a weak mind or a weak heart, man. This is a game for dogs. This is why they out there, man. And I'm rooting for Kadarius Tony. You got a young man who, the pressures of the NFL and the pressures of what was happening in New York definitely saw him mentally collapse. But I don't know the reason why Kadarius Tony was not out on the field. I don't know that, and I cannot say why. But I will say I'm rooting for Kadarius Tony. As anybody that's a young man in the NFL, I'm rooting for you, bro, because I know what it's like to be young. Be young and dumb. Okay, and Kadarius Tony, he's made some mistakes. He's done a ton of dumb shit, but that's no reason to write him off and dismiss him or try to cancel him or whatever you want to call it, as the New York Giants community kind of is trying to do. People were coming at me for tweets that I said about him, and all I said was in the tweet was, go get yours, Tony, and people coming at me like, dog, there's a reason that they have coaching in the NFL. If these players were expected to be men at the age of 22, 23, 24, then what would be the purpose of even having coaching out there if they knew everything they had to do? There's a reason for coaches. There's a reason to have a staff around these players. And sometimes you got to look at the staff, and also sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror and see, hey, how much of this is my fault? And when it is your fault, who's on damage control? For God's sakes, Odell Beckham was over in France with some shorty in her hotel room, and she's bumping lines while this dude is smoking a J, and they somehow could not control that within our team. I've seen way more egregious stuff happen in Dallas, San Francisco. We've seen domestic cases, all kind of things that get shoved under the rug where you can't, in this situation where you couldn't find a way to groom Odell Beckham. It just doesn't make no sense, and he was probably the best wide receiver in the game. Kadarius Tony, another one who's a great talent, man, a great talent, and they couldn't find a way to make it work. Two staffs, that's what's so crazy about it. Two staffs couldn't find a way to make it work with Kadarius Tony. So I don't know what it is. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with Tony, but in the end of the day, I'm rooting for that guy. And Sebastian says Tony is a scrub wide receiver that hurt his hamstring leaving the stadium yesterday. You know me, man. I stay away from those words, man, like scrub, trash, bum, garbage. I stay away from that, man, because, look, sometimes, bro, somewhere out there's a great quarterback that none of us know about because he didn't get the right opportunity. Shit, Daniel Jones could have been that guy. If we didn't get Brian Dable this year, Daniel Jones, let's just say he struggled again and had another terrible season like he had the past 2 seasons. You think another team would have maybe took a shot on this guy? He probably would have been a backup and then maybe would have got another Mitchell Trubisky-like kind of opportunity. But for me, man, and this comes with growth, man. I wasn't always like this. I used to call players trash back in the day all the time. But now as an adult, bro, like I can't look at Tony as a scrub. This guy, so a scrub owns the rookie record for most wide receiver yards by a New York Giant. You don't just be a scrub and that happens. It's not by accident or by luck. These guys get to where they're at for a reason, man. And this is the cream of the crop, okay? They're not going up against bums. They're going up against a lot of good players, man. So that's what it is. For me, I don't think Tony's no scrub. He's shown it on the field. I don't know if you saw the touchdown catch yesterday, man, but man, great grab. And then he had another catch where he broke like 4 tackles, man, on the sideline, caught a little crosser route for like 4 yards, man, and did the rest, man. Got like 20 yards on the play, man. So I think Kadarius Tony is a phenomenal talent. It's unfortunate that the Giants couldn't figure out a way to make it work, but sometimes you got to just part ways, and that's just what it is, man. You know, that's what it is. But I can't be ragging on Kadarius Tony. I like the guy. I really do, and I'm rooting for him, man. I know a lot of people in D.C. Kadarius Tony reminds me of these kids from D.C. so much, man. And just because some of these young kids have came up in environments that are, you know, not the greatest, you know, you got to become an adult in one way very fast, and you don't get to become an adult in other ways at all sometimes because your football talent is what's taking you to the top. It reminds me of a lot of people from around my way, man. So I don't look at these kids in D.C. and go, oh, they're a lost cause. You know, I try to look for ways to try to, you know, elevate them and try to find ways to make them realize what's at stake here, man. You're the only person that gets your life, man. You can only be the best Kadarius Tony. Nobody else can do that for you, man. So that's what it is. But I wish Kadarius Tony the best, man. I hope he thrives in that offense. I'm glad he's with one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, too, man. It's a great, great landing spot for him. He should be able to make it work. But, let's get into some of these overreactions, man. We recapped the game pretty well. Shout out to all of y'all in the chat. We got about 100 people in here right now, man. I see y'all chopping it up heavy in the chat, talking amongst each other, man. We definitely encourage that over here, man. Shout out to the whole gang. Shout out to the whole Giants family pulling up on this Giant Overreaction Week 10 edition, man, on this Monday afternoon where the Giants defeat the Texans 24-16 at home, man. This is going to be 4 home games out of 5 coming up here, man. Got a tough test against the Lions coming up next week. I know a lot of people kind of overlooking that, even just like how we were overlooking this Texans game. A lot of people are saying like, oh, they should have threw the ball a lot more in this game, you know, and, you know, we should have dominated this. People sleeping on them Texans, man. Don't forget that they had lost. Half of their games have been lost by 1 score. And you know the story about the New York Giants, man. We've won all of our wins by just 1 score. So it's really what it is, man. And I see you, Keith Wilson. That's a good point that you made right there. Straight up, man. So let's talk about it, man. Let's get off into it, man. I definitely want to talk about 2 men of the hour one time, man, for the New York Giants, man. Definitely relied on these guys to get the victory outside of the defense. And I'm going to throw y'all back a little bit here. I'm going to take y'all back to last season. This was about week 12. I want to say that I made this video. And I asked y'all this question.
With the 6th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Daniel Jones, quarterback.
Okay. So they do love a quarterback. Jabril Cox made the tackle.
Is proving to be a terrible GM, and this was an idiotic move.
No more Odell.
That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
We're down at 5. Jones throws wide open.
Easy touchdown, second rushing touchdown for Daniel Jones, and they are in position.
So how y'all feeling about that? If you believe in Daniel Jones these days, let me see them biceps in the chat one time for the New York Giants Nation one time, man. I'll tell you right now, I'm definitely believing in Daniel Jones. I'm not one of these fans that think you need a unicorn at the quarterback position to necessarily just win games and give yourself a shot at making runs in the playoffs. I mean, I would take a unicorn, don't get me wrong, but Daniel Jones is definitely doing his job. He's playing his role, man. He's doing his part, man. 197 yards on the day through the air, 13 of 17, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, man. 0 interceptions, a QBR of 83.1. He was only sacked 3 times on the day. Shout out to the homie Glock is in the building one time, man. Salute to you, fam. Definitely appreciate you rocking with us again, man, on this Monday afternoon one time. Michael Knight said, yo, that was fire. That's probably your first time seeing that, man. We cooked that up last season, man, when things were looking really, really grim for Daniel Jones at the time. And I was one of the people that was extremely critical about Daniel Jones, man. I was thinking, hey, it might be time to move on from Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll comes in, man, completely changes my thoughts on Daniel Jones, man. I really, really think he's doing everything he is asked to do, and he's putting his team on his back, man, with his leadership. You're starting to see this guy mature into a true quarterback. Like I said, I'd have to put him in the top 15 right now, and I might be, you know, gutsy enough to put Daniel Jones in the top 10, man. I told y'all we about to make this run, and it's been on the strength of this quarterback, man. It's been awesome to see Daniel Jones and the maturation of him this year, man. Dude has definitely been balling out, man. I see you, Lou Mateo, man. Shout out to you, brother. I like that comment right there, man. I try to keep it as real as possible. He says, you a good dude, authentic, always speaking positivity in this negative-ass world, bro. Yeah, man, you know what it is, bro, especially if you linger and loom on Twitter, man. It's a lot of people out there, man, that's dealing with some stuff, man. And, you know, as I grow older, I've been trying to get better at it and not like when I get the negative energy, I try to not push back with more negative energy. I try to push back with it like either like something that's a little bit joking or something, you know, if you're going to try to troll me, I'll troll you back a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But trying to just give some positivity back to the negativity, man, because I don't know what these people going through, man, but they obviously going through something, man, because they wake up mad, gang banging on bacon is definitely wild. But Daniel Jones, man, doing everything he had to do in this game, man. He's not throwing an interception in 6 straight games. It's the longest streak of Daniel Jones' entire career. He had a passer rating of 153.3. I believe the highest you can have on passer rating is 158, man. So that's pretty much a flawless game. You got the 2 kind of drops, I guess you want to call them. We'll call them drops for today by Kenny Golladay. So you're really looking at about 15 for 17, man. Daniel Jones, extremely efficient on the year, 65.8% completion percentage. Almost 1,600 yards. He's just 4 yards shy of 1,600 yards. That 8 touchdowns now starting to look a little bit better, right? Y'all remember at the beginning of the year, I had preached that Daniel Jones would probably get around 28 touchdowns. I had a bit of inflated statistics here in comparison to what he has on the year, but that 8 touchdowns to the 2 interceptions is looking really good. And last year, throughout the first 3 games with Daniel Jones, we were hanging our hat on the 90 or above passer rating just through 3 games. I mean, we were very happy about that. And on the year, man, he's got a 92.7 passer rating on the year. Daniel Jones is definitely playing his ass off, man. Balling out, man. I love what I'm seeing from him. A lot of fans are calling for Brian Daboll and, you know, Mike Kafka to give Daniel Jones a little bit more opportunity to put this team on his back by throwing the ball through the air. I think they're doing a good job. A lot of people have been calling Mike Kafka's game plans, you know, not really liking them. They're like, hey, Daniel Jones is succeeding on 3rd down. I saw somebody bring up a stat about 3rd down. And a lot of his longer passes happening on 3rd down, on 3rd and longs. But for me, I think a lot of it has to do with keeping teams off balance. I mean, if you got to account for Saquon Barkley in the box, man, then that's going to open up some passing lanes. But that doesn't mean just go out here and just chuck it up, man. I'm cool with the 17 attempts, man. It's not a lot, but I'm cool with it. I don't want to see Daniel Jones get off into that 30 attempts, 40 attempts type of thing, man. There's 3 games from 2019 that stand out to me. You know, one was against the Jets, one was against the Detroit Lions, one was against the Washington Commanders. Daniel Jones had more than 4 touchdowns in all of those games. He threw it for over 30 attempts in all of those games, had over 40 in I believe 2 of those games. But 2 of those games were losses. And to me, that's the most important stat. A lot of people want to run around and say that wins and losses is not a quarterback stat. Well, you need to go holler at Pro Football Reference, because since their existence, it's been a stat up there for quarterbacks only. That are we going to now make it where wins and losses is not a coaching stat because, you know, your defense is out there doing things and your offense doing things, the players, we're holding people accountable, but we can't look at the gray areas, I don't feel. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but for me, you got to keep that win-loss thing as a quarterback stat, because a lot of the reason why teams win games is when a quarterback plays efficient football. That's what Daniel Jones is doing, man. He's playing great football, putting his team on his back. and he's not doing too much, man. You know, when you look at quarterbacks like Marcus Mariota, who seem to have a very similar skill set like Daniel Jones. Dare I say a little bit more agile. Daniel Jones probably has a little bit more straight line speed. But if you see that throw that Marcus Mariota made in last week's game, granted, he was down, and I know a lot of people are running around the internet like, how can your quarterback throw the ball like this? I mean, he was down. It didn't count. It did get intercepted, but the play was already ruled down before that. But the thing about Daniel Jones is this year, he's not making the mistakes, man. Guys like Marcus Mariota are still out there making a ton of mistakes, you know, and Daniel Jones does have that arm, man. He has a rocket. So when it's time to unleash the big dog, Daniel Jones, they will. I'm cool with it right now. They're slowly ramping up the offense and getting Daniel Jones a bit more accustomed to running this ship, man. And he's the captain of it, man. He's doing a really good job of it, man. So kudos to Daniel Jones, man. He's playing extremely efficient football. We can't wake up and be coming for Daniel Jones today. And I saw it all over Twitter. I'm just like, what are y'all seeing out there? If you're a Giants fan, you should be enjoying Giants winning games. Isn't that why we're fans? If I'm a Royce the 5'9" fan, as I am, I'm a big Royce the 5'9" fan, right? If I go to the show and he falls flat on his face, I'm not happy about that, okay? I want to see Royce the 5'9" put a good show on. Daniel Jones is putting on a really good show, man. He's doing everything that the Giants are asking him to do, man. And we, as fans, we shouldn't have to ask for more. He's playing efficient football. He's down near the bottom of the top 32 quarterbacks as far as attempts go, and he's playing efficient. That QBR looks amazing, man, at 83.1. So I'm here for it, man. You know, at the beginning of the year, I'm one of the fans that wanted the flashy stats, man. Yeah, I want Daniel Jones to be able to dominate a game. 3 touchdowns, you know, give me the 300 yards, you know, give me the 70% for completion percentage and all that. I don't care about that. Just keep playing efficient. Don't turn the ball over. Put your guys in the best position that you possibly can to be able to make the plays that they can. He's doing a great job at the line. I saw a tweet, shout out to Stan. Stan sent me this. It was about, Mike Kafka being in Daniel Jones' ear up to 15 seconds before the snap. And I think a lot of people are trying to credit that to Daniel Jones not being able to make plays at the line and make audibles. Well, when you make an audible at the line, that's usually under 15 seconds. I don't know about what y'all see, but it's usually under 15 seconds from what I see. That's usually about 10 seconds. Like, hey, we switching this up. Bang, let's go. That's what it is. And Daniel Jones has been doing a good job. Shout out to the homie Tudo one time in the building, man. Big salute to my guy, Tudo, man. Big salute to Italy one time in the building. And shout out to Bookend Tackles in the building, too. He says, we need to be balanced. I think we should have thrown the ball a few times the last 3 drives. Not one pass those drives was a little too conservative. But, hey, we got the dub. Yeah, and I think they're just trying, you know, there's a good balance of, like, playing to win and not playing to give other teams those opportunities to be able to put yourself in a position to lose a game. One of the last drives that people were so upset about was the one that was in our own territory after the turnover on the 8-yard line. Why would you pass it out of your own end zone pretty much? If you, after getting those 2 turnovers, the one from Leonard Williams with the strip sack or with the strip on Dameon Pierce running the ball, recovered by Jalen Smith, and then the interception from Dane Belton, those were 2 plays where the Texans were starting within our territory right there, okay? One of them was on the 29-yard line of the Giants' 29. The other one was on the Giants' 8-yard line. You also got to look at how you just flip the field position on those type of plays. They're about to score. Those are, if just put yourself in the Texans' shoes. If we're the Giants and we're driving and we're on the Texans' 29 and we don't score, you're looking at it like, what the hell just happened? We get down to the 8-yard line and the Giants don't score any points, I'm going to lose my mind, which is why the Texans were really in this game. If they could have scored on those 2 opportunities, this is a totally different game. But the Giants' defense stood up and they did their job. Now, when you get the ball back on offense, you can't just go out there just recklessly just trying to throw the ball, man. And those 2 last drives happened in the 4th quarter. You got to find a way to protect the ball. I'm not saying go full-fledged Joe Judge and call 2 quarterback sneaks, but we are dealing with the best running back in the game against the worst rush defense in the entire NFL. Why wouldn't we just run the rock? That's what we did all day long, and it worked. Don't go away from it. Not only did it work, it's a safer bet. You don't want to see Daniel Jones. I don't know if y'all remember. I think this was the Carolina Panthers game. In our own territory, he had that interception that was dropped on the right side of the field where if they intercept that, it's a totally different game. Brian Dable is learning from the mistakes that have happened early on in this year. Why are you going to put the ball in Daniel Jones' hands to throw the ball with a 2-score lead? It really doesn't make sense. I could use maybe a couple more throws here and there, but at that point, I'm not really looking at the Giants to sustain drives that much outside of running the ball. I think they did a good job, man, at the end of that game. And once you push it to a 2-score game after the turnover and the Graham Gano field goal, You can coast to a victory pretty much at that point. Get a couple of first downs, chew some clock, man, and win the game. The drive that really put the nail in the coffin was the 5-play, 75-yard drive at the end of the third quarter. That one did it for me. So I'm all good with this. I know at first glance this game plan looks a little bit strange. It reminds me of the Raiders game from last year. That Raiders game from last year, Daniel Jones, he had about 100 yards through the air. We threw it under 20 times, and we just relied on Booker to run the ball all day long, and it worked. If it works and it wins, I got no problems with it. That's how I got to look at it, man. It's like, I know the Giants are trying to find ways to elevate this offense, and in the first half, we have struggled, man. I know we're like bottom 5 as far as points go in the first half. The Giants are averaging 7 points per first half. That's not good. I want to win games a little bit more convincingly in the first half. I will say that. But they've been letting Daniel Jones sling it in the first half. For the most part, I looked at Saquon Barkley's rushing attempts per half entering last week. He was at 101 attempts in the second half. In the first half, he was right under 60. So it's going to show that they're looking to keep gas in the tank for Saquon Barkley, and they're allowing Daniel Jones to do some things early on, throw the ball, see how it's looking, see how the passing attack is looking, and then you can adjust and make moves in the second half. I like what Kafka's doing. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying what Brian Dable and Kafka are doing is perfect, but they're doing a really good job. And I think they're strapped. Talent-wise, man, they're strapped. This wide receiver core is not it. It's not it. And this year we have not seen a lot of those bonehead mistakes from wide receivers and tight ends like we saw from last year, where you see, Evan Ingram. I couldn't even think of his name. That's so crazy. But you see like an Evan Ingram tip pass, go up, interception. Now you flip the field position. The reason why Daniel Jones is playing such clean football is because the coaches are putting just enough on his plate for him to eat. And I'm here for it. I definitely love it. Stephen Ars with another good one here. He says, we want Madden stats, but don't think about these are paid professionals. That game plan all week, they will attack the team's weakness. I'm sure if we play bad pass defense, we will throw, then heavy run. Yeah, that's a great point there. If we're playing, not even I can bring it up for you right now. I want to say, oh no, maybe it wasn't the Packers game. But you're right about that. I think you make a good point there. Like, if you're going up against the worst rush defense and you have the best running back in the game, just think about how you tip in the scales here. Best running back, worst rush defense, right? The Giants obviously don't have one of the better pass attacks, so it's going to be one of the worst pass attacks versus one of the worst defenses. You can kind of lean it a little bit more and tip the scales a little bit. So I just want to see what they get to do here. I tweeted out something about this yesterday as well. I thought that the hierarchy of the passing game as far as the wide receivers was going to be Kadarius Tony at the top, Kenny Golladay at number 2, Wan'Dale Robinson at number 3, and Darius Slayton at number 4. We can literally flip that. Darius Slayton is at the top, right? Wan'Dale Robinson is probably number 2. Kenny Golladay is probably number 3 now with Kadarius Tony shipped off to Kansas City. So Kenny Golladay is probably even farther down that line. You could put guys like Sills and all these other practice squad dudes that we're scooping up and bringing up here, Hodgins and all these other guys above him. It's been bad. So I'm not one of these guys clamoring for the New York Giants to throw the ball a ton. I think that at glance people are gonna, they're gonna say, hey, throw the ball more. But when you deep dive into this game plan, I think you'll notice why the Giants are running the ball some more. And let's talk about the man. Let's talk about the second player on this offense that's been really doing damage this entire year, man. He's been doing a lot of damage. And then we'll get off into these overreactions right after that. Saquon Barkley, man. 35 rushes for 152 damn yards, man. 4.3 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, had a long of 27 yards. Looked like he left a lot out there on the field, too, man. There were a couple of shoestring tackles out there on Saquon where he got through the first level and then ended up getting tackled in the second level and whatnot. Saquon, man, he's definitely been the pulse for this team, man. Definitely been balling out throughout the whole entire season, man. This is a career high for him of 35 rushes. Also, 35 rushes is the most by a Giants player since 1999, man. So this is, we committed to the run in a major way. I love how this coaching staff is doing that. 4th 100-yard game of the season for Saquon Barkley, the 16th 100-yard game of his career. Barkley is number 1 in the NFL in rushing yards right now. He's just 69 yards away from getting 1,000 yards already, man, and we're just over, the halfway point in the season. A lot of people was talking about, hey, week 2, week 3, are we going to trade Saquon Barkley at the trade deadline? A lot of people calling Saquon Barkley a bust. A lot of people gave up on this guy, man. But Saquon Barkley, man, I'll die on this, man. Being picked at number 2 in the 2018 draft, I loved that pick. I don't care what the analytics say about running backs. I don't care what the statistics say about drafting running backs in the top 10. To me, it was a no-brainer pick. And I don't remember a lot of boos in the room when Saquon was drafted in 2018. I do remember a lot of boos when Daniel Jones was drafted at number 6 in the 2019 draft. But it seemed like, people like to change their opinions up in hindsight. I be seeing y'all on Twitter. Y'all deleting a lot of y'all tweets. I don't delete my tweets, man. I just keep them up there. Yeah, I'm the one that said Daniel Jones in the long run was going to be better than Josh Allen after the 2019 season. Oh, man, y'all can slay me for it. I don't care, bro, because I told y'all, I'm liable to change my opinion whenever I want to. When you present me with more facts, of course I'm going to change my opinion if those facts are leaning into me having to change my opinion. I'll do that. I'm not one of these people like, I did see it, and I respect Dan Orlovsky a lot. I think he's a really good analyst, and when he's breaking down plays, he's so good at that. I love what Dan Orlovsky does. But I do feel like at times with Daniel Jones, he's like, he wants to die on that hill that is not going to work for Daniel Jones. Same thing goes for Colin Cowherd. And those are two of my favorite people on TV right now as far as talking sports, man. But, at times they want to die on an opinion. But I also think that's because they have a lot more eyes on them, and they're getting crucified a lot more for their opinions and whatnot. So they want to be right. I don't care. Listen, man, I don't care about being right. I'm not one of those dudes that wake up the next day like, told y'all that, blah, blah. I don't care. I really don't care. I make estimations on it. I make guesses on it, try to make them as educated as I can as possible. And if they're wrong, man. The Beard had said that Christian Watson was going to go over 100 yards and he was going to have a touchdown in that game. And I said, absolutely not. Confident as all hell, too. And you know exactly what happened, man. The Green Bay Packers ended up taking care of the Dallas Cowboys, man. It helped us out. And Christian Watson had a day, man. The dude balled out. So for me, yeah, Glock, you already know I appreciate you.
Spike don't care.
Spike don't care, bro. I'm going to change my opinion when more facts present themselves. That's just what it is. Saquon Barkley's one that I just so happen to be, the opinion hasn't swayed. I saw this guy, man, coming out of college looking like the best talent since Reggie Bush. And he had all the assets that a guy like Reggie Bush didn't have: the power, the agility, the ability to break tackles. Saquon Barkley in the second level. This dude is we can say it now. We can definitely, 4 years into his career, this dude is one of the greats, man. He's one of the greats, and you got to think about it. He's doing this with an offensive line that is not fantastic. Offensive line is like what? Middle of the road to bottom of the league. Pass blocking is definitely our bigger struggle, and they're better in the run blocking. But with the injuries that we've had up front, man, it's been tough sledding for the New York Giants. But the offensive line, they showed their butt off in this game, man. They did a good job in this one. Saquon Barkley, 152 yards on the day, man. And as a team, man, to just run for as many yards as we did, I mean, it's just the Giants have been relying on this running game the entire season. And I'm here for it, man. 191 yards rushing, man. 4th highest total of the season. I'll reiterate these points, man. These are just great games by the New York Giants running attack. And I think that the coaches are doing a good job of putting these guys in the right position to be able to make it happen. Like early in this game in the first quarter, you could just see it, man. Like, I knew Saquon was going to have a big day. And if you go back to Thursday's preview show, I said, book it. Saquon's getting over 100 yards for sure. Okay, I talked about the pattern that Saquon Barkley had coming into this game. Started off the season with 100 yards against the Titans. Then he had 2 games where he was under 100 yards. Week 4 came out the gate with another 100-yard game. Then in week 5 and week 6, fell back down to earth, had 2 games without 100 yards. Okay, week 5 and 6. Week 7 comes back against the Jaguars, has a 100-yard game. We get the bye. Saquon Barkley against Seattle Seahawks had his lowest total, 52 yards on the ground. And then in the bye, got to chill, got to think about it. I knew he was going to come out the gate and have another 100-yard game. So this pattern has been the same throughout the whole entire year now. 100 yards, 2 games, not 100 yards. 100 yards, 2 games, not 100 yards. 100 yards, 2 weeks, not 100 yards. So you include that bye to make that stat look a little bit better. And now Saquon Barkley, 152 yards, man. This dude definitely is doing things, man. I'm extremely proud of him, man, because coming off that knee injury, man, a lot of people wrote this man off. And I think Saquon just he used that as fuel to be able to go out there and try to get that knee healthy and get back right. And I thought Carl Banks brought up a really good point about running and how running is affecting the NFL right now. And me and the Beard talked about this a couple shows back. Like, is the NFL starting to lean back towards, the running back being bell cow and being the reason why teams win games? Carl Banks said this on his Twitter this was yesterday after the game. He said, for all of y'all who have a problem with how the New York Giants won today, take a quick look at the rushing stats around the league for the teams that won in Week 10. Most rushed for 150 or more yards. So, yeah, keep crying hungry with a loaf of bread under your arms. I thought this was great. Now, shout out to Mark Reynolds. His Twitter name is at @R_EY. So it's pretty much just Reynolds with an underscore after the R, EYNOLDS. He put up all the teams that won and the rushing stats for those teams. So the Bucs won, and they rushed for 161 yards. The Vikings won, they rushed for 147 yards. The Chiefs won, they rushed for 155 yards. The Dolphins won, they rushed for 195. The Steelers won. The Steelers got back in their true Steeler form by running the rock, man. And the Steelers had 217 yards on the ground. The Colts won their game. I called that one too, the Beard. I hope you in the chat right now. I told you Jeff Saturday was going to get a win, and they was going to rally around those coaches that were already on the staff. Colts get the win. 207 yards on the ground for the Colts. Packers beat the Cowboys. They had 207 yards as well on the ground. The Cardinals ended up winning. They didn't run the ball too well. The Niners won. They had 157 yards on the ground, and the Giants won. We had 191 yards on the ground. The only teams that had under 150 yards in Week 10 that won their games were the Lions, the Titans, and the Cardinals. Let me make sure I'm right on that. And the Vikings, who were just 3 yards under 150 yards. So maybe the NFL is shaping up and going back to the running game. You can win in a multitude of ways in the NFL, man. So I think you can do it either way. You could pass the rock, you could run the rock. But when you run the rock, you make things way easier for the quarterback. I always talk about this with the Washington Commanders, who are playing tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles with Taylor Heineke, man. If you can get Antonio Gibson rolling, Taylor Heineke is going to be able to game manage and coast you to a victory damn near every time. The key is getting Antonio Gibson the touches and getting him over that 100-yard mark. It'll make everything easier for your quarterback. So same thing goes for a guy like even Davis Mills. I know he struggled in this game a little bit. The stats don't really show it, but he had a good running attack, which is why the Texans were still in this game. So I'm one of the guys, man, I'm old school. You know, I'm 39 years old. I'm about to be 40 in July. I've respected the run. When I'm playing ball and when I'm coaching or, you know, playing some Madden, though, it's totally different. I ain't even gonna lie. You play me in Madden, if you see me run the ball twice, be extremely surprised. I use a short passing attack to run the ball when I'm playing Madden. But for the most part, man, I've always had respect for, you know, teams that can stick to the run, man, like the Tennessee Titans, who have been in the mix for the whole time. 5 years now, they've been in the mix. It just goes to show you, man, like you can win games in different fashions in the NFL, but you got to have the right personnel and you got to have the right schemes. And the Giants right now just seems to be, running the rock seems to be the way. It definitely seems to be the way. I want to highlight one more player here before we move into these overreactions. It's going to be a pace show. We probably give you about a good 2 hours today, something like that, man. But I want to highlight one more player who definitely deserves a big highlight for his play, man. This dude has definitely stepped up. And when we come back from this one, we'll start it off with the first overreaction of the day. For those of y'all that don't know, if the statement that you see on the screen when we come back from this clip is true and you believe it to be true, put a U in the chat. That means you're going to take the under and you don't think it's an overreaction. If you think the statement on the screen is an overreaction, let me see a O in the chat to represent that you think it's an overreaction. If you need a little bit more time to see how things pan out on the season, let me see a P in the chat. That means you're going to take the push and you'll wait till next week. Sometimes I like to bring these back up and use some of these statements 2 or 3 times so we can kind of see, you know, if we get a lot of pushes, then we'll definitely revisit that statement again. But this the guy I want to bring a little bit of excitement to because he's definitely bringing a little bit of excitement to the New York Giants offense. All right, man. And we'll start this off with the first overreaction of the day. You know, when we win, I like to bring attention to some of the fans, man, and you know, personalize some of these tweets that we see and whatnot. And, you know, give a little bit of props to some of the people in the Giants Nation, man, out here saying some good about the New York Giants one time. What y'all think about this one on the screen? Darius Slayton is clearly the Giants' best wide receiver with a emphasis on clearly. What y'all think about this one, chat? Let me go tap back in with y'all one time. I got 3,000 things on the screen right now. But what y'all think about Darius Slayton? Is he the best wide receiver in the New York Giants wide receiver room? If you agree with this statement on the screen, let me see some U's in the chat. If you think that this is a bit of an overreaction after that big game that Darius Slayton had, 3 receptions for 95 yards, averaging 31.7 yards per catch with that big 54-yard touchdown where he had 50 yards of yak on that one. And he had a long of the 54. It was only on 4 targets, man. Darius Slayton was definitely a bright spot. What y'all think about this? Is Darius Slayton the best wide receiver in the New York Giants room? Let's see what the chat talking one time. I like it. I like it. I like it already. I like it already, man. Yo, we got big U's in the chat one time right now. Shout out to the homie Awthentik one time. He says he's taking the under, and he agrees with the statement on the screen that Darius Slayton is clearly the best wide receiver in the room one time. Dominic Hickson. Shout out to Dominic Hickson, ex-New York Giant one time, but Dominic Hickman is also taking the under on this one. Man of the culture is taking the under. Shout out to Fabian one time in the building. Fabian says there's no other option but to take the under. The beard is in the building. He's taking the under one time. Slammer is the man. You are the man. Look at that hair Slammer's rocking right there, man. Big shout out to Slammer, man. You facing the building. He's taking the under as well. I was about to say Rock Marciano one time. Rocky is taking the under as well. Jay Jean with the under. Gregory with the under one time. We got all unders in the building one time. Bookend, Ed Squires, James Earl Moan says under. He's unfortunately the best. that's a real different way to look at it one time. I feel you on that. Josh Cologne's taking the under. Shout out to old man Rob, Mr. Prov in the building taking the under. Bubs is taking the under. Fabian one more time taking the under. It reminds me there is no other option. Kareem Yee under one time. Big Los under. Lou Mateo is taking the under. Yeah, and A-Tone doubled down and said, yeah, Slayton gets open often. Rozelle in the building. Big shout out to Rozelle taking the under. Big shout out to Brian one time in the building. What's going on, Brian? Hope all is well on this Monday afternoon. Man, we got all unders. Elegante in the building one time. Elegante. Shout out to Elegante in the building. He's taking the under one time, man. Big play. Slayton in the building. Y'all know what it is. Flemdog is taking that under as well. That's it. That's all them U's one time. That's all them U's one time, man. Yo, gotta slide back one time and highlight the homie Fabian's comment one time because I think Fabian is dead spot on when he says this. Ain't no other option, man. It really is no other option. I know a lot of us had high hopes for Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson has been relatively quiet since his return from the knee injury. Darius Slayton, what were the coaches missing? What were they missing? Like, why hasn't Darius Slayton been clear-cut wide receiver 1 throughout the whole entire year? Because of a couple of drops in practice? I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. When you see a guy like this who first couple of weeks of the year, man, they wouldn't even get this guy no snaps, man. It took some wide receivers to get hurt. It took for Shepard to get banged up. You know, it took for Kenny Golladay to get banged up. It took for David Sills to be out there slumming for them to think, okay, Darius Slayton could actually be a threat. This is the one thing I got to question with the coaching staff. It's like, how y'all not seeing this early on? Shout out to Tudo one time. He's taking the under as well, man. Hope all is well over there in Italy, Tudo. It's really interesting. And Jetpack Jeff, that sounds like a dope rap name right there. Jetpack Jeff, that's fire right there, man. He's taking the under as well. But yeah, I don't understand why Darius Slayton's been chilling on the bench, not getting snaps for so long. This guy's definitely been the only wide receiver in this whole entire room that can make big plays. Like, he's the only one who can stretch the field. A lot of these wide receivers aren't even fast, don't got the kind of speed that Darius Slayton has. And I'm sure if he continues to keep making plays like this coaching staff is definitely going to be on notice, and they're going to be looking at Darius Slayton to make more plays like this. It's definitely facts right there. Let me see. Shout out to James Earl Moans. I just want to bring up some of these comments here. He says, and he took less money to stay. Oh, my God, forgot about that. That's a gem right there, bro. He took less money to stay with the New York Giants, and now he's being the biggest playmaker we have in this entire wide receiver room. I saw, I think it was Sebastian who said that Kyle Pizzle was right on Darius Slayton. He definitely was, man. Like, and I think it goes to show you as well that this wide receiver room is lacking playmakers for sure, because Darius Slayton on a year, I think he's the only wide receiver for the New York Giants who has breached 200 yards. I think he's got like just above 300. Yeah, he's got 327 yards on the season. 19. We're hype about a guy with 19 receptions, man. It's crazy. That goes to show you how bad this wide receiver room is for the New York Giants. He got 2 touchdowns on the year, man. He's averaging 17.2 yards per reception, though, man. Darius Slayton is definitely finding ways to stretch the field, man. Let me see. Lou Mateo says, yo, people got different roads to being great. Some are rougher than others. Man, that's big facts right there. That's big facts. I mean, you could look at some of the GOATs like that. Look at how Kobe Bryant started off his career with the Lakers, man. People was looking at them like, bro, what did y'all do? Why did y'all bring this guy in? This ain't that. He is not the guy. Ends up being one of the GOATs, man. Rest in peace, one of the greatest basketball players ever, Kobe Bryant, man. So, yeah, got to agree with Lou Mateo on that one time, man. That's definitely facts. Everybody's road is not going to be the same. It is why I don't doubt men. I never doubt nobody, bro. Like, you see somebody in a funk, you never going to hear, I promise you're never going to hear these words come out of my mouth. A player is washed. You're not going to hear that come out of my mouth. Not now, not in the current. No way. You're not going to hear me say that. Because you don't know what people have. You don't know the kind of resiliency people have, what their bottom line is, how they're going to come back, man. There's a documentary, a 30 for 30, man, that had the running back that came back and played for the Rams. I want to say his name was, I keep wanting to say Mark Duper. I can't remember his name. But he was a running back that tore his ACL, and he was supposed to be that guy. Somebody in the chat going to get me on this, I'm sure. But I think it was Mark Dupree. I think it was Mark Dupree. But, man, they showed this guy. They had footage of him in the 80s, right? He blew out his knee, right? And they had said, yo, you're never going to come back and play football again. This is back in the day when ACL injuries had you out forever, right? Yo, they showed this dude on the 30 for 30. They had footage of him in his grandma's garage where he would turn up as many space heaters as he could possibly get. He was in that joint grinding, bro, lifting weights, getting back. And he came back and scored a touchdown for the Rams, man. So we cannot doubt men. Don't doubt people, man. Like, yo, you could say, hey, I think this guy not playing well. Man, you could say whatever you want for real. I'm just telling you how I represent it. You're not going to see me talking about players are washed. Maybe when they retire, you might see that. You're not going to hear me. You're never going to hear me say that. Yeah, Marcus Dupree. Shout out to James Earl Mones one time. Marcus Dupree, man, he was like the guy. He was supposed to be the guy and then blew out his knee. He had some people, a pastor as well, who was managing his money, who was like pretty much giving Marcus Dupree allowance, bro. And Marcus didn't even know what was going on with the money, bro. He was so concerned about football that he let these people pretty much manage all his money and just give him an allowance pretty much. It was, I definitely recommend all y'all go check out that 30 for 30, man. It was kind of ridiculous, man, how his whole career ended up going. But the story ended up really well because he did come back, and he wasn't as fast and as explosive as he once was, but definitely got back out there on the field, man, and played again when a lot of people said he would never play again, man. It was a great 30 for 30. I recommend that for all of y'all. And shout out to Fabian one time. I saw Fabian was talking about Kenny Golladay a lot on Twitter, so I definitely want to bring highlight to his comment here. He said, KG, at this point, it's mental. Imagine having a handful of targets only to perform. You will play tight in those situations. Yo, I agree with that wholeheartedly, 1,000%. You don't just get to the NFL, have a lot of success, and then just start dropping the ball out of nowhere like that. You know, Darius Slayton dealt with these drops. One of y'all brought that up earlier. I never wavered on Darius Slayton. People were like, oh, we're going to trade him and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's the best wide receiver we've had on this team in the past 3 years. Why would we trade him? It don't make sense to me. I did think that he would get traded, though. The way that everybody was talking about it and all these beat reporters, I thought he would get traded. The way it just seemed like he was going to be out of here, but then he ended up taking that pay cut, and thank God. Could y'all imagine what would we be doing in this passing attack right now without Darius Slayton? Definitely an unsung hero on this New York Giants team, man. But Fabian, you hit this right on, man, right on, definitely. And yeah, so I think we're all in the unanimous agreement here, man. Shout out to Danny Heifetz one time for putting this out there in the world, man. I always scour the Twitter search to try to find the best stuff to be able to bring to y'all, man. And it seems like everybody is in agreement here that, yeah, we're taking the under on this one. This is not an overreaction right now. Darius Slayton is the best wide receiver, and I love that picture right there. Shout out to the graphics department, man, because Darius Slayton got his hands on his hips like, y'all was doubting me? What the hell going on here, man? So shout out to the graphics department one time, man. And Jay Jean says we'd not be passing. Yeah, that's facts, yo. We would be running the ball more than we're actually already running it, man. So shout out to Darius Slayton, man. That dude definitely balling out. This next overreaction, I wanted to bring a little bit more attention to that video that we talked about with believing in Daniel Jones, and a lot of people are talking about this one. Like the coaching staff being very cautious with how many times they put the ball in Daniel Jones' hands. So we'll get into this next overreaction here and see what y'all think about this one. All right, so, and this one is a little bit smaller on the screen. It's a bit of a lengthy tweet here. This one is from David's Offer. And David's Offer says, it's clear the coaches that see Daniel Jones daily don't believe he's the guy. They do everything in their power to scheme around him carrying the load. If that doesn't tell fans what the deal is, kind of insinuating for next year or future vibes, I don't know what will. Family in the chat, what y'all think about this one? Is this an overreaction? If it is indeed an overreaction, let me see an O in the chat one time. If you agree with the statement on the screen, let me see some U's in the chat. And if you want to take the easy way out, then let me see a P in the chat. That means you're going to take the push until we get a couple more games under our belt here, maybe get to the end of the season. Let me know what y'all think at one time. All right, shout out to the gang popping up early one time. Atone23 says he's taking a push. I think that's a smart move right there, man. Don't want nobody judging our takes too crazy here. The Moore family. Shout out to the Moore family. This is a new face in the building, man. Hope all is well on this Monday afternoon with y'all over there with the Moores. Says this is an overreaction. He doesn't need to carry the load when we have Saquon. Why can't we understand that? That's a great point, man. Shout out to the Moore family one time in the building, man. Dropping gems out here for y'all. Gregory says taking a push one time. Jay Jean says it's an overreaction. Batista Leon, that's gotta be a fellow Haitian right there, man. Saquon said, if indeed you are Haitian, that definitely looks like a Haitian name one time. Says that they're taking the overreaction one time. James Earl Moan says this is an overreaction. The staff is helping DJ with the weak interior line play and his lack of receiving talent. 1,000%, man. Shout out to Gretz upstairs, says, wait, this beat. Yeah, I played this one a couple of times. This one was from about, I made this one like 4 or 5 weeks ago. Y'all, this might make an album. We'll see, man. I'm definitely digging this one too. This got a heavy vibe. Old man Rob and Tudo taking the overreaction along with Sabrina. Shout out to Sabrina in the building one time, man. Y'all know what it is. Dominic Hickman is taking a push on this one. Who else we got in the building here, man? Bookend Tackle says this is an overreaction. They trust him with 3rd and long, and he delivers. It's more the pass pro they're protecting. That's a great observation there one time. Definitely agree with you on that. Edward Squires says this is an overreaction. I'll go with what James Earl Moan's statement said. Yup, facts. James Earl Moan's dropping gems one time in the building. Let me see. I'm trying to get Steven Arces one time. He says, put L's in the chat because we are getting W's with this quarterback play. So bye-bye. Tell him, man. Spike don't care about none of that. You know what it is. Lou Mateo's taking an overreaction. DJ playing his best football and his features hasn't been unlocked without steady wide receiver 1. I can't wait to see that. Batista says he is Latino. Shout out to all my Latinos in the building one time. Big shout out to Batista Leon in the building, rocking with us on this Monday afternoon. Flemdog taking the overreaction. A man of the culture is taking a push one time. He doesn't need to, but last game was a very good opportunity to let him go a little crazy. The Texans' pass defense is just as bad as their rush defense. That's a good point right there. Brian Howard says it's the ultimate overreaction. The idea that you devalue the contribution of Daniel Jones because he ain't making the sexy plays is ridiculous. I agree with you on that, Brian. That's definitely facts. Stephen R says it's an overreaction. Shout out to the homie Afghan in the building. What's going on, fam? Hope all is well on this Victory Monday, man. I know I'm feeling real good, man. Giants took care of them Texans 24-16. It's a beautiful thing, man. Hope you're doing well, brother. Kareem Yee is taking the under. The quarterback still needs to pass the ball, especially in 2-minute drills and less. Yeah, that's a good point, too, but I don't know if this was the game to be able to see that. I think we had a good, comfortable lead. I was never really worried in the second half too much in this one, man. After the Dane Belton interception, I really was like, oh yeah, this game's in the coffin, man. This one's over. El Gigante in the building one time is taking a push. Who else we got up in here, man? We got 69XXX, man. Free girls in U City. You might want to add an R to that, you brother. Get some girls in your city one time. Jay Jean says it's overreaction. The coaches are doing what it takes to win, period. And we are winning, so why do sexy play and all that stat padding rah-rah nonsense? I definitely agree with you on that one time. Let me see. Rozelle says, shout out to the mods clapping the bots. No lie, yo. Those bots are definitely from Dallas, man. Shout out to Rozelle the Great one time. Jetpack Jeff. This is a fire name, man. I like this name, Jetpack Jeff. This is fire right here. Taking a push on this one. Wants to see a little bit more from Daniel Jones. I ain't mad at that. That's a safe play. That's definitely a safe play right there. And Bub says, it's an overreaction. We don't need him to carry the load. He just needs to keep being efficient. Yeah, that's fact. Give him enough to just do what he has to do. Don't overload the plate, but let's not give him scraps either. Let's keep it very balanced, man, and let Daniel Jones do what he has to do. Third down, he's frying. The Giants were 7-14 on third down, and a lot of that comes from Daniel Jones and his arm, man. Kevin the PRF, day one in the building. What's going on, fam? Hope all is well with you. Says he's taking the push. He's coming in late here one time. Yeah, I like that. That's a safe play, but I'm going to go ahead and say that this is an overreaction right here. Yeah, it's clear the coaches that see Daniel Jones daily don't believe he's the guy. I think they're still trying to figure it out, which kind of makes me want to take the push a little bit, but nah, this overreaction, man. Nothing about the way that they're coaching says Daniel Jones ain't the guy. Third downs, man, they've been definitely putting the rock in his hands. Think about games like the Packers, the Ravens, they put the ball in his hands late, and Daniel Jones delivered, man. He's doing what he has to do. So I got no beef with what's going on right now with the coaching staff, the play calling, or the quarterback, man. I'm here for it. Definitely like what I'm seeing out of Daniel Jones, and it seems like the general consensus on that one. We're 2 for 2, man. That's an overreaction as well. And the other one, most of us took the under, man. Darius Slayton being clearly being the best wide receiver in the New York Giants wide receiver room, man. So shout out to David's offer. For presenting this one out here on Twitter, man, and putting your opinions out there on the line, man, for us to be able to judge. I don't even know if David's offer's in the building, but hopefully he doesn't crucify me for highlighting his tweet here that a lot of us didn't agree with. But shout out to the gang, man, and Roman coming in late too. Says that's an overreaction as well. And James Earl Moe says David was reaching. He was definitely reaching. Definitely reaching. All right, y'all, so we got a couple of more, man. Before we get into this next clip, man, I did want to highlight this segment about Saquon Barkley and his contract negotiations moving forward. I thought he dropped a lot of gems here, and it'll also highlight our next overreaction.
My mindset is just focus on the rest of the season. Next week, going to Detroit and let it go. When that opportunity comes up again, focus on it then.
You're okay waiting till the end of the season?
Don't really care about it, to be honest. I just want to win football games.
Do you see it as a foregone conclusion that you're going to lock up long-term sooner or later here?
No, I really don't see it as nothing. I just see it as another opportunity, another week, another day. Just come in. Like I said, it is what it is. It happened. I'm just happy that we were able to at least have a conversation. I know how they feel about me. They spoke really high of me. But like I said, we weren't able to get anything done during the bye week, and I agree with Joe. Just lock it up and worry for the rest of the season and make sure no distractions come out of it.
If they change their mind, would you change your mind?
I think I kind of been vocal about before contracts was even brought up about how I feel about this place. Where I want my legacy to be in this place, and I want to be a Giant for life. And like I said, I've been vocal about that. So, if the conversation gets brought up again, and we'll go from there.
Shout out to Saquon Barkley, man, which brings me to our next overreaction here, man. This one comes from Tim Buntley on Twitter. He says, in my opinion, it would be a huge mistake if the Giants don't lock up Saquon Barkley. Chat, let me know how y'all feeling about this one. Is this an overreaction, or do you agree with the statement on the screen? Let me see some U's in the chat if you agree with the statement on the screen. If you think it's an overreaction, let me see those O's in the chat one time. If you want to throw a couple of biceps in there, shout out to the homie The Beard one time in the building. Strong side to my left side. One half of the best television show not on TV. Throw some biceps in there one time for The Beard, man, and the gang. AATB, y'all know what it is, man. I give y'all a little bit of time to populate your answers in the chat and see how we looking here. Shout out to Big Blue in the Bronx one time, man. Hope all is well, brother. We over here, man, just going over a couple of overreactions or some non-overreactions here, man, on this Monday after the Giants took care of the Texans, man. 24-16, man. Big victory for us, man. Pushed us to 7-2, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Big Blue in the Bronx, man. He does a lot of Yankees content, a lot of New York Giants content, man. They putting a foot in the content game over there one time, man. Go show some love if you're not already subscribed to him, man. Good dude over there. I got to meet him, him and his bro at a FanFest 2 years ago, man. Definitely a good dude, man. So go show some love one time. Appreciate you stopping by, popping up in the building one time, man. Big Dash in the building, another content creator. Shout out to Big Dash in the building, man. He said, Awthentik, what's good? 7-2 is what's good, brother, man. We feeling great over here on this Monday afternoon, man. We've been rocking for about almost 2 hours already, man, talking about some overreactions. Let me know what your thoughts are on this one on the screen, too, man. This person on Twitter, Tim Buntley, said, in his opinion, it would be a huge mistake if the Giants don't lock up Saquon Barkley. You think that's an overreaction? Let me know what you're thinking, Big Dash. And for those of y'all that don't know Big Dash has started to put his foot in the content game this year as well. Some great high-quality takes, man. Some high-quality content over there. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Big Dash Knows over there one time, man, doing his thing. Him and Big Blue in the Bronx, man, both holding it down for the Giants community, man, and bringing this content to your doorstep, man. Y'all know what it is. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but shout out to Big Dash one time in the building. All right, let me scroll back a little bit. We got a couple already, man. Yo, Stephen R. said, you in the Soulja Boy voice one time, man. He's taking the under on this one and agrees with the statement on the screen. Don't forget, it says for life, man. This is like, you know, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, man. Bad boys for life. That's me and the beard one time. We always talk about that. This is Saquon for life, man. So we're trying to make him a Giant for the rest of his career. Don't forget that, man. Shout out to Stephen Arts one time. Alvaro, Old Man Rob, Roman. Shout out to Mobster Music one time in the building. That's a new face, man. Salute, man. Hey, Mobster Music, if you actually have some music that you cooking up, man, tag me in something. I'd love to hear it on Twitter, man. At Awthentik on Twitter. Definitely check me out, man. I'll send you some of my stuff. I was going to play some new stuff for y'all today, man, but I was like, it's not quite ready. It's not quite ready yet. So I kind of kept that in the stash. But tag me in something, Mobster Music, if you out there cooking, man. I'm a producer and an engineer for my day job, man. And also an artist, man. I've put out 11 albums since 2004. 11 albums since 2004, man. If y'all want to check out the catalog, mostly everything is on my Bandcamp, authentic.bandcamp.com. And also everything's on all streaming platforms as well. iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, all that good stuff as well, man. But shout out to Mobster Music one time in the building, taking the under. JJ Stengel taking the under as well. Who else we got up in here, man? Alvaro says Saquon is a star one time. Bookend tackles taking that under. What else we got here, man? Lou Mateo said it's already a done deal. Barkley already locked up. He is the Giants. I like that, man. That's a great take right there, man. Flemdog says, I'm dying on the hill. It's an overreaction. Shout out to Flemdog one time in the building, man. That's fam right there, representing the DMV as well. Kareem Yee taking the under as well. Who else we got? The Moore family says letting him walk for nothing would be crazy, though. At least trade the guy. Yeah, you can't let him walk for nothing. That's wild. So I do think I'll lock him up at least for a contract here for the next few years, man. Who else we got? Big Los is taking the under as well. Edward Squires is taking the under right now. He is the offense. That's facts. Let me see what else we got up in the building, man. Bubs is taking the under as well. Big Dash taking that under as well. Let me see. Lou Mateo. Yeah, if you want to hear some tunes, man, just go to authentic.bandcamp.com or just search Awthentik on any, one of the streaming platforms that you listen to music. My last album was entitled The Color of Us. Represented a lot of what goes on in the area that I grew up in, a melting pot of a bunch of different cultures here in the DMV, man, especially in DC, man. So that title represents the color of like my gang, my crew, man, because I grew up with a bunch of different ethnicities, man, from my homie Obed, who was Pakistan, my homie Doug, who was from Nicaragua, my homie Chris from Argentina, the Beard, of Irish descent. I got my homie Fats from Dominican Republic. For those of y'all that don't know, I'm Haitian. I had a mixed homie, Patrick, who's the reason why I'm a Giants fan. He's mixed black and white. I mean, we just grew up with all kinds of different cultures, man. My homie, my two homies, Ho and Hai, who were Asian descent, man. I mean, we had a melting pot of everything growing up, man. So that album represents that, man. It represents my areas. It deals with a lot of, just what's going on in society these days. I try to rap with a purpose. Shout out to the Beard for putting up the link out here too, man. It's the link right here, Awthentik, spelled Awthentik, the proper way. Anybody tell you anything different, you reference the Beatles, you reference Ludacris, all artists that spelled not traditionally. There's a reason for that too, man, for branding. I come from the era of the 4 elements of hip hop, graffiti being one of them. And, when it came to tagging my name, that K and the W just kind of made it flow a little bit better. So shout out to all of y'all, man, asking and inquiring about the music. I'm here for football for sure, but if you want to check out the music, go ahead and do your thing, man. With this one right here, man, I'm going to say, I do want to take the push a little bit. I ain't going to lie. But nah, man, that's my guy right there, man. Saquon Barkley, man, he's goated right now. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm taking the under on this one, and I do agree with the statement on the screen. Go ahead and lock Saquon up for life, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Saquon been this offense pretty much for the whole entire year, and with all the issues we've had in the wide receiver room, the one thing we can hang our hats on is Saquon Barkley, man. And I always talk to the Beard about ugly games, right? And this wasn't one of the ugly games. This was a, more of a pretty game, to be honest, from Saquon Barkley. It was grinded out. It was gritty, but it wasn't ugly. 152 yards on the ground. But, those games where Saquon Barkley might have 20 for 80, 16 for 70, I'm okay with those games. You got to be able to grind those out, man. I like that. And Jay Jean says, nah, join the push squad. Got to wait till the year ends. You're right. One thing Entertainer said to me early on in the year, he was like, he's going to wait until the year ends because he wants to make sure that Saquon Barkley can remain healthy. And I do think that that's an important thing to talk about. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. So far, so good. They've both been, relatively healthy throughout the whole entire year. Saquon was banged up in that one game against the Packers and whatnot, but it didn't hold him out. So for me, so far, so good. We do got to wait till the end of the year, but I don't mind being ahead of the curve a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to jump out on a limb. I'm going to take the under on this one. This one is not an overreaction. Just checking out this one from Lou Mateo. Want to know what the Giants team. Oh, yeah. Okay. I like this too. He says, want to know what I love about this Giants team is that we are homegrown. 95% are draft picks. I love that too. I want to see moving forward how many of these players are, going to stick around with this team because we know a lot of these players were not drafted by Joe Shane and Brian Dable. These are players that come from the earlier tenure and whatnot. And I want to see when they start to cut some of these players, get rid of some of these players, what's left. But I agree with you. I do love the homegrown vibes. One statistic that stands out to me when you say this too is the Los Angeles Rams. They did a lot of wheeling and dealing with their first round picks, but they're the 4th most homegrown team in the NFL. It always stood out to me. Even though they deal their first round picks every year since Sean McVay has been the coach, they draft really well in the later rounds, man, and they keep a lot of those players. So I hope the Giants will be able to find a way to draft well in the later rounds. That's where we've suffered, man. The first round, yeah, we've been doing pretty good. Second round, pretty decent, but in the later rounds, man, throughout that Dave Gettleman tenure, wasn't that good. But I do love that about this team. Lou Mateo, very homegrown. It's an awesome thing, man. That's big facts right there. All right, so I got, let me see. I got one more. For y'all. It's been all smiles today on this show, man. It's been a really, really good vibe, man. I definitely appreciate all of y'all pulling up, rocking with me on this Monday afternoon, man. We had about a good 100 throughout the show, man. That's awesome for us, man. And for those of y'all that are new and it's your first time rocking out with us on the Giant Overreaction, we do shows here on this channel 4 days a week, man. Mondays, we do the Giant Overreaction every week. Tuesdays, we do our recap show of the entire NFC East. This is a NFC East-based channel. We call it the best division in football because it is the best division in football. Y'all know what it is, man. NFC East out here representing. We do shows on Thursday as well. We do our preview show for the upcoming week, so don't forget to tune in on Thursday. We also give away something every Thursday. It's been sponsored by Over the Years Sports, which is my co-host company. The Beard is a antique collector, and he's also a memorabilia collector when it comes to sports. So he's got a ton of stuff, man. I did the intro for his video for his channel for Over the Years Sports, man. This dude had so much memorabilia, man. Like 10 helmets, man. This dude's got signed helmets. Gave me my Daniel Jones signed New York Giants helmet that's back there in the cut. It's right there. And also has given me a ton of cards, man. I got to come and pick up that Eli patch card too, the Beard. That thing was looking too fresh. We couldn't give that away. But Thursdays, we do give away tons of stuff, man. We've given away a 1930s football helmet. That was sponsored by Vintage Sports Flips. And also the pennant we gave away, the retro pennant we gave away. We've given away Tiki Barber signed card. We've given away, trying to think of all the cards here. Daniel Jones rookie card last show. We've given away Eli Manning cards. This upcoming Thursday, we're going to be giving away a Jeremy Shockey signed card as well, too, man. Jersey patch, I believe that one is. The Beard showed it on our last episode. So make sure y'all pull up on Thursday. Sundays, we do the parlay, very laid back, kind of a pick-em kind of style show where we talk about fantasy and just a little bit of betting. Try to get everybody on the same page for fantasy victories, man, and just answer questions as a collective group. It's an awesome show, man. And I can say that I've directly benefited from that show because my fantasy team is on the up and up now, man. And I made a couple of mistakes in my lineup this past week, but I definitely got the win. And I'm in a tough division, man. I'm sitting now in 4th place with I want to say a 6-4 record now, I believe it is. So hoping I can find a way, and I got the high bonus for the high score in my league last week, man. So pretty much my fantasy is almost paid for now. A couple of more high bonuses, you know, that invested money will be returned, man. So the ROI is pretty decent right now, talking about fantasy, man. But we got one more overreaction before we get up out of here, man. I already saw I got a new subscriber right there, man. Definitely appreciate you subscribing. That's Mobster Music, man. Definitely appreciate you subscribing, and welcome to the family, brother. Very laid-back vibes over here on Authentic in the Beer, man. We don't claim to be experts. We're not giving nobody no financial advice, no nothing crazy like that, man. We just try to talk football, give our opinions, you know, and that's really it, man. Try to share the thoughts of some of the people in the community and try to give a platform for the folks out here, man. That, you know, the Giants community is not like that popping when you talk about YouTube and whatnot. So we just trying to give y'all high-level, high-quality content, man, you know, and just try to give y'all our takes, man. So we appreciate y'all pulling up to, you know, just share thoughts with us on this Giants win, man. And Giants sitting at 7-2, man. This is the first season that the Giants are, at least throughout, have a winning record. You can't forget, at no point in any time during the whole Dave Gettleman career did we have a winning record. So our tenure on YouTube dates all the way back to the beginning of 2019. This is our 4th season doing content for the New York Giants, and the Beard representing the Washington Commanders as well. And at no point did we have a winning record. And to be sitting at 7-2, man, it's a beautiful thing, man. And, you know, we're starting to see it from the community. A lot more people are being invested in the New York Giants community on YouTube. It's awesome. I've seen, shout out to Lawrence Tynes. He's rocked out with my homies from NY Revival a few times, and he gave away a couple of signed pictures. He's active with us on Twitter. He follows me on Twitter, and I still, like, till this day, I just can't believe that. Like, I be having conversations with a guy that made game-winning Super Bowl kicks for the New York Giants, man. So shout out to Lawrence Tynes, man. Very down-to-earth guy, man. And Tiki Barber also joined NY Revival, and they invited me on that show to go over there. I'm going to show that on one of our shows, too. In the offseason, I got to chop it up for like about a good 10, 15 minutes with Tiki Barber and get some thoughts on the quarterback position with him, which is awesome. So you're seeing people, Carl Banks, man. Carl Banks sent me the most dopest New York Giants jacket ever. I'm talking, like, don't nobody got a more flyer jacket than me. I'm going to keep it fun. And I seen some fly New York Giants jackets out there, old school, you know, varsity cut, no hoodie kind of vibes. I'm telling you, ain't nobody touching that jacket that Carl Banks sent me. I'm telling you, I'll rock it maybe next episode. Also, shout out to Nike. Nike blessed me with a Nike hat, not this one, but the other one that kind of looks like this one that I got. I designed a pair of custom Nike Dunks in Photoshop. I shared them on Twitter, and I asked Giants fans, yo, what y'all think about this colorway for the New York Giants, blah, 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 right? Nike popped in about 6 months later and said, hope the package got to you, as I woke up one day with a big-ass box on my porch, and the Dunks that I designed, they literally cut them, designed them for me. I have a pair of one New York Giants Nike Dunks, blue, red, and white, and gray colorway, man. And they sent me some practice pants, which I don't know what I'll do. Maybe we'll give those away or something. I don't know what I'm going to do with a pair of practice pants. They were worn, too. They had grass stains on the knees and everything. They sent me a New York Giants T-shirt, and they sent me a couple other things, man. A card that just said, you know, thank you for, like, showing support to Nike and trying to design the kicks and all that, man. I'm probably never going to wear those Nike Dunks. They're probably just going to – I might frame those or put them in a glass box or something one day. But shout out to everybody who's been a big part, man, and just supporting not only this channel, but supporting the whole entire New York Giants community, man. We're seeing all these people, you know, these big-name people, man. Brandon Jacobs, I saw him on a podcast recently, man. There's so many people that are diving back into the content creators. You know, we'll call them the small people in the community for the Giants, man. So that's just awesome, man. And we can't be more blessed, man. We really can't. Now the New York Giants are winning. It's amazing, man. Took care of the Texans, man, 24-16. Big win. I know everyone across the community is super hyped today on this Monday afternoon, man. You know, Victory Monday. It's going to be Victory Week, man. Shout out to Josie, Tim's wife, who blessed me with some pack that I'm going to be not smoking on this week, but she gave me some edibles this week. She gave me some Skittles, and I think it was some Sour Patch Kids, or maybe it was 2 different types of Skittles. And I tested them out yesterday. They fire. So shout out to Josie one time on that. that's definitely a good look. But we're gonna be smoking this pack for a good week now. We got till Sunday to smoke this pack, man. This Texans pack, and the Giants have been doing really good, man. Yeah, James Earl Moans, yeah, Carl Banks sent me a starter, and it's wild how it happened because I posted when Nike sent me the shoes. I posted the shoes online, and shout out to the Giants community. They tagged Carl Banks in my post and was like, "Yo, Awthentik needs something super fly to go with these dunks." Carl Banks sent me a signed football, the jacket, and a couple of Giants T-shirts as well, man. Like, so none of this would happen without the community, man. Like, straight up, bro. I'm blessed, man. You know, like, people have sent me a bunch of stuff, man. Shout out to Nick DeWick, who sent me my first piece of memorabilia while being on YouTube, a signed Odell Beckham blue jersey when he was with the Giants. You know, so it's like, yo, just a bunch of people out here doing great things, man. And we try to feed off that positivity here on Awthentik in the Beard, man. That's our vibe. We want to feed off the positivity, man. We trying to raise the bar and keep the vibes and the atmosphere on fire, man. That's all we trying to do here, man. So shout out to y'all, man. We got 100 in the building right now, man, rocking with us, man. So let's get into this. Oh, man, Stephen R. said it. That might be the one. Yeah, that might be the one. That one that Xavier McKinney was wearing, that might be the one jacket that can contest with my starter jacket. That might be the one jacket. Maybe, because that one was fire. Had the flag on the back and all that. Yeah, I did want that one. The all black vibes and whatnot, man. That joint was fire. So I will say that one does contest a little bit with the one that I got. But let's get off into this. This is going to be the last Giant overreaction. Then I'll get y'all up out of here, man. Y'all can go get lunch. We've been rocking for 2 hours already. It feels like it's been about a good 30 minutes, and that's about it, man. But that's how it be when the Giants win, man. You know, the vibes is up, man. So shout out to the gang. Shout out to the Giants Nation, man. Y'all know what it is, man. We in here on this Monday afternoon, man. Celebrating. We celebrating this Giants victory, man. 24-16. Let's get off into this this last overreaction one time. All right, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. This one, I saw this one on Twitter. I was like, that's so funny. That's so funny, yo. So, my man AMPM Sose says, we are going to see Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, and Geno Smith in the playoffs over Rodgers, Murray, and Matthew Stafford. And that Murray is spelled wrong right there. I don't know if that's from the tweet I copy and pasted it. That could be the case. It could have been me. Who knows? What y'all think about this, though? Y'all think it's a lock right now? Do y'all think that Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins is sitting at 8-1 right now. The New York Giants are sitting at 7-2 right now, which is ridiculous. And I think the Seahawks are sitting on 5 or 6 wins. Let me just double check that real quick. The Seahawks are sitting at the top of the NFC West, which we thought was going to be the best division in football this year. They definitely are not. With the Rams sitting at 3-6, the Cardinals sitting at 4-6, and the San Francisco 49ers sitting at 5-4. The Seahawks are sitting at 6-4 on the year. What y'all think about this? Are we a lock right now? Is this an overreaction, or do y'all think that this is going to be facts right here? And Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, and Geno Smith are going to be in the playoffs over Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, and Matthew Stafford. Chat, let me know what y'all thoughts are. Let me pull y'all up here one time. I definitely had y'all in the background for a second there. Let me just scroll back, make sure I didn't miss nothing. Okay, that's what's up. Let me see what we talking here. Bookend tackles is taking the under. Edward Squires is taking the under as well. If it keeps going the same way each week, I do see it happening. And James Earl Moan says, wow, I hate to say it, but yeah, that's facts, man. Flem Dog taking the under as well. Bluegrass, shout out to Anthony in the building one time, man. Day one over here on Awthentik in the Beard, taking the under as well. J. Jean, to end this stream, Parcells said it. You are what your record says you are. Big U taking the under one time. Shout out to J. Jean, always been pulling up for all of our streams, supporting the gang over here at AATB. Kareem Yee is taking the under. Yeah, season is crazy for QB play. Yeah, it's been pretty lopsided here and flip-flopped with all the quarterbacks that we're accustomed to seeing at the top of the divisions, you know, or conferences. Guys like Russell Wilson, guys like Aaron Rodgers are definitely struggling just a little bit this year, man, and having a lot of woes during this season, man. Shout out to Aaron Rodgers, who finally got off the losing streak there, man. They lost 5 in a row before they beat the Cowboys yesterday, man. So big shout out to the Packers, man. I know the New York Giants fan base was extremely happy about that. Lou Mateo taking the under goes to show how unpredictable football is. Yeah, man, this is why you play the games. At the beginning of the year, I didn't do a official record prediction for the New York Giants, but I had us like around 6 wins, man. And look at this. We're already sitting at 7-2, man, just over halfway through the season, 9 games through in week 10, after week 10, man. It's awesome. Shout out to Dominic. He's taking the under as well. Mobster Music says this is an overreaction. I'm going to look down here, Mobster Music. I want to know why you think this is an overreaction. What quarterbacks do you think might make it within Rodgers, Kyler Murray, and Matthew Stafford? And which quarterbacks do you think might not make it between Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, and Geno Smith? Or maybe you just kind of misunderstood the overreaction vibes. But let me know what you're thinking in there. Let's clear that up a little bit. Sabrina's taking the under as well. Let me see. Mobster Music says this is an overreaction, but we in there. I like that. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. Big Low says it's an overreaction. 49ers. Okay, I like that, Big Lows. James Earl Mo says we're in an alternate universe where Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, and Geno Smith are going to be in the playoffs over Kyler Murray's he's been up and down a little bit, man. I don't know about Kyler Murray, but Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers, we're definitely accustomed to seeing those guys in the playoffs one time. Yeah, and Simon Coleman said, don't forget to put Russell Wilson in there. Yeah, Russell Wilson been struggling, man, struggling. He's worst red zone quarterback on the worst red zone team in the NFL one time. Big Low says it's going to be Jimmy G over Geno. Yeah, and the San Francisco 49ers now are 1 game back. I think they messed up by trying to start Trey Lance in the beginning of the year. They kind of botched that whole Jimmy G situation. It reminds me of how Ron Rivera has been botching the quarterback situation in Washington for so long here, man, just making countless mistakes. But Jimmy G's a good game manager, man, and I don't know what it is, man. You know, might be the luck of the football gods a little bit, but Jimmy G finds a way to win games. Jetpack Jeff in the building. He's taking the under on this one as well. And Kevin the PRF says, yeah, 49ers may overtake the Seahawks. Yeah, and then, you know, I saw some things that were talking about the playoff situation in the NFC if it were to come down to this week right now. That the New York Giants would have the 5 seed. They'd be going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who look like they're atop that division right now. That division is really ugly right now. I think that's the NFC South. They're definitely struggling a little bit over there. But, you know, I'd like to see us get 2 to 3 teams in that wild card position for the NFC East. I think that would make things really interesting. Like, could you imagine, like, Dallas at Philly or something for the first round? Maybe, you know, a second-round matchup between, like, 2 NFC East teams. You know, it looks like Philly's probably going to get the number 1 seed and get the bye. But I think it'd make things really interesting if maybe 3, possibly all 4 teams get into the playoffs for the NFC East. It's one of our wishes that me and the Beard have had here for a while. That would be really cool to see all the teams get in, man, and make the playoffs. The content for the playoffs would be amazing if that happened. But we'll see, man. Yo, the Beard's in the chat, too. He said, Washington is coming. Starts tonight. You know, when you said the Christian Watson thing, I was on record saying, absolutely not. I'm not going to say that about your Washington Commanders tonight, man. Hope y'all get that win. I don't – either way. It could go either way for me as a Giants fan. I don't mind it. But, yeah, you know, best of luck for you tonight, the Beard. Best of luck for you tonight. But as far as this one goes here, man, we're going to see Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, and Geno Smith in the playoffs over Rodgers, Murray, and Stafford. I'm going to take the push. I'm going to take the push because with that win against the Cowboys, maybe the Packers and Aaron Rodgers are onto something here. And, you know, maybe they make a run at a wild card. They are a few games back there with the Minnesota Vikings atop that division. But I don't know. I think that they could possibly make a run and possibly get maybe that last wild card spot, possibly. Right now, they're sitting in second place in the NFC North. They're at 4-6, so they're a good amount of games back. They haven't had their bye yet. The Vikings haven't had their bye yet. The Vikings have had their bye, and the Packers have not had their bye yet. So that's going to be tough, man. They're about 4 games back already. It's going to be really, really, really tough for the Packers to get in there. But sitting at 4-6, I do give them a shot. But I'm going to take the push on this one. James Ramon says tonight's game might get ugly real fast. Yeah, if the Philadelphia Eagles can come out and put up points early, and let's say the Washington Commanders get a couple, maybe a turnover or two in that first half, it's gonna get ugly for them real fast, man. Shout out to Rich Rucci in the building one time. Says great takes on Kenny Golladay. Authentic. Appreciate your perspective. Appreciate you pulling up, Rich, rocking with us, man, on this Monday afternoon, man. This was a solid vibe, man. 2 hours plus already in the building, rocking out with y'all, man. And Mobster Music says, once we beat the Vikings. I like that confidence. Man. Jay Jean says, nah, the Packers still riding that struggle bus. It just stopped to get some gas for the Cowboys game. I like that. Shout out to Jay Jean, yo. That's real facts right there. James Earl Mones looks like he's taking off. Definitely enjoy the rest of your not only the rest of your day, man, but enjoy the rest of your week, brother, man. It's going to be a great victory week for the New York Giants, man. I'm on cloud 9, man. I love these weeks, and they fly by. Sunday going to be here in no time, man. Sunday's going to be here in no time, but enjoy the rest of your afternoon, man. Enjoy the week for sure, man. But, yeah, as far as this one goes, I got to take the push, man. Y'all know what it is. I definitely got to take the push, man. That's just give me a couple more games, make this a little bit more clear-cut as far as Aaron Rodgers. And the Cardinals did win their last game, but they're definitely really on the struggle bus right now. But DeAndre Hopkins, man, he's one of my favorite players, man. I just love what he brings to the table. And shout out to them for going out there and getting a W with Colt McCoy at the quarterback, man. He got banged up in that game too, man. Came back in, finished things off. But the Cardinals are sitting at 4-6, just 2 games back of the Seahawks. So I think Geno Smith is not a lock quite yet. And I think that Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray could make a little bit of a push and make things a little bit interesting down the stretch, man. All right, we'll be right back. We're going to wrap this one up one time. So, man, I hope y'all enjoyed this Week 10 episode of Giant Overreaction, man. Y'all know how we do over here at Awthentik and the Beard, man, the best television show not on TV. For those of y'all, man, that just pulled up, never rocked with us on a Monday for a Giant Overreaction. I had somebody on Twitter say, there's nothing to overreact about. I'm like, brother, man, that's the name of the show, bro. Don't get it confused, man. It's the Giant Overreaction every Monday at 1 p.m. We've been trying to lock that time slot in, man, for the most part, so you can expect these shows to be pretty consistent at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the most part, man. I definitely appreciate all of y'all rocking with us on this Monday. Let's see some biceps in the chat. I already see the biceps in the chat already, man. Salute to y'all, man. Y'all putting a big smile on my face, man. Shout out to Gregory one time. He says, great show, Authentic. Peace out, everyone. Good luck tonight for the Beard, man. I see your profile pictures got the cat. I got 3 of them things upstairs, man. Salute to you, Gregory. We appreciate you rocking with us on this Monday, most definitely. Shout out to Anthony, Bluegrass Pickers in the building one time with the $5 super chat.
Spike don't care.
You know it, brother. Thanks for being live while I'm listing on eBay all day, man. I appreciate you supporting the show in a major way, man, all the time. From your wallet, from your Twitter fingers, your Facebook. You've been plugging us as much as you can, man, and that's how people are going to get the word about this good show we got going over here in this community that we're building, man. You know, I had a conversation with the homie, one of my day one homies. We just did a job, what was that, on Saturday for the homie Fred Yone. Dougie Fresh was in the building too, man. Shout out to Dougie Fresh. He was in the building jamming out with the band. And my homie was telling me, like, yeah, you know, I know you're trying to, like, blow up on YouTube and all that. And I was like, bro, don't get it twisted, man. This ain't, if anybody, and he should have known this because he one of my day ones, right? With everything that I do, man, I've never been one of the kind of people that's like, oh, man, the goal is to blow up and make $1 million, man. You know, I had to tell folks, like, yo, when it came time to trying to sign a record deal as an artist, I went into the building one time, man. We went to Jive, chopped it up with Memphis. And that's all it took for me to know that the record label, the record label way was not the way for me, right? Because my music is not what you would call popular pop culture, pop music. And neither is the content that we cook up here on Authentic and the Beard, man. We just try to keep it funky, try to keep it real. And we want to build a community where when you pull up, you feel safe, you feel comfortable chopping it up with Giants fans. And you know, people that are like-minded, bro. We're not trying to make this where we just blow up. And now I don't know who Kevin the PRF is in the chat. And I don't know who Gregory is, who's pulled up to our show pretty much daily, you know, for the past couple of weeks. And I don't know who Steven Arce is, or Bluegrass Picker, or Jay Jean, or Stan, you know, or Sebastian, or Bubs, or Bookend, or Sabrina, or Kareem Yee. These are people that like we are building a relationship with by building content for y'all to come pull up and chop it up with. I'm starting to know everybody in this community. Shout out to Big Los who've been rocking with us. Kai 001 who's been rocking with us. J Jean been rocking with us for a minute. We got day ones that been chopping it up with us for a very long time. And I'm proud to say that like I'm starting to build this relationship with y'all where I can't wait to meet y'all in person like at a game. Y'all know we do our annual FedEx tailgate here down in Washington. So any of y'all in the DMV area, man, if you rocking with the channel, definitely pull up on us, man, and rock with us for that game, man. That's going to be a good one. So, man, big shout out to Bluegrass and all of y'all, you know, who pull up here weekly, man. Flem Dog, you know, these people that have been rocking with us for so long. John B, all these people, yo, like, we couldn't do this without y'all, man. And we want to build a community that thrives, man. It's not about the numbers really here. You know, that's a good thing to have, you know, big numbers and have accomplishment. I'm very grateful to have 2,600 subscribers on this channel in just over 3 years of rocking with y'all, man. But at the end of the day, man, this is about building a community, man, not only for y'all, but for myself, so that I could come here, release thoughts about the New York Giants in a comfortable way and not get extremely attacked for my opinions. But if there's anybody that's cut out to be attacked for opinions, it's me, because it don't bother me one way or the other, to be honest. You just feeding the fuel for the fire one time, man. But salute to all of y'all. Y'all know how we end every show here on Awthentik in the Beard, man. Keep living those dreams. Keep raising that bar, man, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Shout out to the podcast GOAT, Combat Jack. If you're not familiar with Combat Jack and you in the hip-hop community, go over to SoundCloud is where they hosted all of his podcasts before the untimely passing of him. He passed away from cancer a couple of years ago. Shout out to Premium Pete. They're the GOATs when it comes to this hip-hop podcasting especially, and bringing the urban culture over to the podcasting community. Combat Jack was the first person that I saw doing podcasts that I got hip to it, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then the Beard came to me with the idea of doing a podcast, and I was all for it. And that saying of, you know, raising the bar, living your dreams, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound, that comes from Combat Jack, man. So a great saying from him, man. Use this Monday to get better and raise your bar, because I know I'm about to do that here. I'm going to try to get, I've been wanting to do some advertisements for the studio and for my Beats page. So I'm going to cook up some content when I get off air here, hopefully. Very comfortable, too. I'm going to be playing a little Apex Legends if you want to join me. We got a new map over there as well on Apex Legends. But y'all know what it is, man. Keep living those dreams. Keep raising that bar, man, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Y'all enjoy this victory week, man. Another victory from the New York Giants, man. It's unreal. It's unreal. 7 wins by the New York Giants, all by 1 score or less. We're sitting at 7-2, man. I could not have imagined this, man. This is amazing, man. So y'all know what to do. Enjoy the rest of your week. Root for the Beard tonight, man. He's going to need it. His commander's going to need that going up against the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, man. Again, very grateful to have y'all in this community with me and be able to share my thoughts with y'all, man, about football and, you know, and get different perspectives and different opinions on football and about the New York Giants, because that's really what it's all about, man. So y'all know how to do it. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. Enjoy the rest of y'all week. To my 420 heads out there, make sure you smoke some of that Texans pack. Y'all be good. Peace.